What's happening, weirdos? If you haven't watched Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's fantastic, and it stars our guest today, the return of Phil Rosenthal, who is a living delight, a joy, the manifestation of gratitude and silliness and talent, and I love him. He's incredible, and I'm so glad he's here. For those of you that don't know Phil, other than Somebody Feed Phil, he's also incredible, the creator of Everybody Loves Raymond with Ray Romano. And we talk a lot about writing as well as eating and other wonderful things. I'm so glad you're here. Not too much to plug for me up top. PeteHolmes.com for my tour dates. I'm going to be outside of Philly, and also I'm coming to Houston, Texas, very soon. So go to PeteHolmes.com for those. Also, we'll be adding more dates. So whenever you hear this, go to PeteHolmes.com. And thank you to everybody who came out to Largo this month. It was so fun. We had Utsko, we had Judd Apatow, Emily Catalano. It was just Madison Cunningham played music, Grammy Award winning Madison Cunningham. It was an awesome show. So thank you to everybody that came to that. That's once a month as well. Go to largo-la.com for tickets to Pete Holmes Living at Largo. There will be another one next month as well. So PeteHolmes.com, that's it. Let's get into it. Let's enjoy. I'm so glad you're here. I already said let's get into it. Let's say it again. Let's get into it.
Phil is catching me not being a student of comedy. And we also had a very funny talk about how people don't like the sounds of eating. So he's being very careful about eating. No, be you.
I'm changing the name of this podcast to You Made It Self-Conscious.
Somebody Fed Phil is a good epitaph.
But look at all the nice things in there.
Yeah,
you would like this.
In
fact, I give you half.
I'm okay.
Oh, today's your day where you don't eat.
Yeah.
So you're having a green juice.
I'm having but nobody likes to talk about this. There are certain things, food is so personal. You know what I mean?
And yet universal.
Yes, but when you get into like restrictions or, you know what I'm saying? Like if somebody, even as simple as I'm not eating today, people take that personal. I can see people not, let's put it this way, Seinfeld. Did you do Comedians in Cars?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not a comedian.
Oh, I think it's because of that full-page ad campaign that CBS did. Remember?
I don't.
Seinfeld was canceled.
What?
Not canceled, ended.
Okay, and?
We weren't canceled. We canceled it. It was a self-cancel. It's like calling a suicide a murder. We weren't canceled. We pulled the trigger.
Us too.
Well, you guys self-canceled.
We did.
Yeah. But when Seinfeld self-canceled,
Yeah.
Ray was in the New York Times, I believe, full-page ad, and it said, hey, looking for something. Hey, Seinfeld fans, essentially, are you looking for something to do? Why not come over to CBS?
I do not remember that, but I have to say, hearing it now, it's only a compliment.
I agree. This is just a fun theory, by the way. I have no inside intel. I'm basing this on zero, and it is a compliment. But maybe, you know, that ad, the unconscious quality of that ad is we're friendly rivals. So maybe Seinfeld's like, not having the other guy with the hair that did the thing in the kitchen while I was doing my thing in the kitchen. And Ray's like, it was a different thing. And he's like, it was the same thing. We were Jewish, you were Italian. Jews with better food. Don't do bits, I do bits.
Ray actually wanted the show originally to be more like Seinfeld, meaning he actually asked me if there had to be a story every week. Couldn't we just sit in the diner and talk about stuff? I said, first of all, there is that show. And second, I'm the complete wrong guy to write that show.
That's so funny.
Yeah. I need a story. I grew up on story shows.
What if it's about zilch? Like he thinks that saves it. It's a show about nada. No, Ray, they did that. So maybe there's a friendly competition. What was I going to say? I would have loved to see what you ate on that show.
Which one?
No, Comedians in Cars. There was a reason I brought it up, but it wasn't.
So I went to. I was very good friends with George Shapiro. Did you ever meet George?
You're a George Shapiro type.
Oh,
Compliment.
he was the sweetest.
Supermensch.
So for people who don't know, he was Jerry's manager.
Yeah.
And an executive producer on the TV series. He was also, before that, and I think this is how Jerry learned of him, he was Andy Kaufman's manager.
Wow. Oh, yeah, played by Daniel DeVito in Man on the Moon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think George has a little part in the movie
Little
as
cam.
well. Yeah, a little cameo. George said to me one day that Jerry sometimes has his friends come and watch him in Vegas and go to dinner, and then the next day they get you a hotel room, and the next day he rents out a movie theater in Las Vegas and we see a movie. I'm like, this sounds like heaven.
Yeah.
Of course I want to go.
Yeah.
So we go. And Jerry likes this restaurant, The Palm. I think it's in Caesar's Palace. And my first thought was, oh, let me pick the restaurant. Oh, no, Jerry likes The Palm. And he has a room in the back. And
What year is this?
had to be
Around Raymond times?
15 years ago, I think.
Okay.
I think it was after Raymond.
AR.
AR, yes.
This was 20
that's
blah,
known
blah,
now.
AR.
So we go. I think George Wallace is there. I think another comedian, the guy who opened for him, is there. Mario Joyner,
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say
believe.
probably Mario.
Maybe one other guy, and George and me. And the menus come, and I say, anybody want to split something to start? And Jerry goes, what do you mean? And I go, share like an appetizer. He goes, what do you mean share? And I'm like, wait a minute. You've never
shared?
done this? And he hasn't. And he goes, well, like, what would it be? And I'm like, well, this is the first time I've ever told anyone this. There's a
What?
There's a shrimp cocktail on the menu. We could each have a shrimp. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 shrimps come in the big. Oh, I would have a shrimp. Okay.
Oh.
And we get it.
You share.
Yeah. And it comes, and he actually goes, I like this. Like, I like this idea of sharing things. I'm like, what world am I in? Yes. I wish you could see your face. Yes. Yes. That was my face. I couldn't believe it.
This is like the Seth Rogen story where Tom Cruise didn't know there was pornography on the internet. That's a real story, apparently. That Tom Cruise was like, what?
Well,
Wild.
I have to tell you, I showed Tom Cruise the porn.
Phil has different appetites. What can we say?
The important thing to remember is sharing.
Sharing, both come up in both situations.
In both situations.
So Jerry had never. That seems so weird. Comedians after shows going
Yes, you
out.
go in the Comedy Cellar.
Yes.
Everybody gets the wings
Share.
and has the wings.
You want a wing?
I don't think he does that.
You know, this is kind of a synchronicity because I went to dinner last night.
Yes.
We have very feed Phil, meaning I hope you see the compliment in this. It's very food communal.
Mm-hmm.
Every Sunday, we have our friends over, but last night we didn't want to have friends over,
Mm-hmm.
or Val didn't want to. It doesn't matter. And then we went to a pizza place. Sat at the big table.
Yep.
And we had a long conversation about sharing.
Yes. Haven't you ever had a pizza with people?
A birthday party when you're 8.
Cake?
Who's getting their own pizza at Pizza Hut in 1980?
Or this cake is just for me.
This cake is just for me. You have shared, sir. You just didn't know you were doing it.
Exactly.
What about, there's got to be some
I gotta tell you-
Passover. Is there a Passover thing? There's a Passover thing.
Yeah.
There's got to be something that is shared as part of Passover. Here it
Want me to
is.
go get you better ones?
This looks fantastic.
He loves it. The flimsy plastic, the tiny nap. For those only listening to the audio, Phil is going into the least eco-friendly setup.
I have a kind of a rivalry with napkins around the world.
What do you mean?
In Buenos Aires, I had a pizza. That was one of the best pizzas I ever had, speaking of pizza.
Verdad?
Where you pick it up and the cheese pours off it in rivers. Like, you can't believe how much cheese is on this thing. It's oily and messy.
Wait,
and,
is it sliding
and
off
delicious.
and it's nude like a silken robe?
No, there's still plenty
There's
of cheese.
Plenty.
There's
It's
still-
like a
thank you.
surplus of cheese.
There will never be a shortage of cheese on this pizza. But after eating it, you need a napkin.
Yes.
What they give you in this place is, remember the black and white notebooks for school.
Yes.
It's as if someone tore out the tiniest piece of that paper, and that's your napkin. And I'm like, I have to tell you, I'm an American, and we're used to super absorbency.
Yeah.
This is not.
We want quicker, thicker.
This is something that smears the stuff around your face and does nothing.
Bill Cosby, Scandal Noted, used to have a bit about trying to get through the day in middle school just blowing your nose on paper towels. It's a very funny observation, bad person. But I remember that feeling, and I'm feeling that right now. There's also countries where the toilet paper is that situation. You get like a composition notebook toilet paper.
Well, that's just cruel.
It is just cruel.
That's like a torture. You have to have a nice. I mean, come on. You know what the best is? Have you ever had a Toto toilet experience?
Every morning.
Japanese.
They know how to poop.
They know it's. I say.
Is it cultural appropriation that I'm getting my ass blasted with warm water every morning? Because they know how to poop. Full respect, Japan. Full respect.
They do things better.
They do everything better.
Yes, they do. I love it.
You ever walk in and it's clean and perfect, and you're like, it's very Japanese. Why do the Germans get all the efficiency stereotypes? But it's really the Japanese that are nailing it.
Well, they were allies.
I knew there was a World War II riff here. Maybe there's some compassion there. It wasn't the genocide.
I forgive them Pearl Harbor because that Toto toilet, it's... It's like having a nurse.
It is like having a nurse with like one of those things you blow smoke or air into your fireplace. But it's warm water, and it's not too much to penetrate. It's not a violation.
And yet there are people who are grossed out by the idea of it. I've tried to explain. Well,
who are these
I don't think
people?
I'm telling a tale out of school.
Seinfeld.
Ray Romano. I told him, and this is in the writer's room.
Yes.
This is one of the top 3 discussions.
Yes.
In terms of consuming time when you're supposed to be working.
This was the topic.
Anything to do with your ass.
Ass play.
Is I would say number 1 or 2 of topics we're going to be doing
number 2.
and discussing instead of working.
Yeah.
Food might be.
Yeah.
But it's all related, isn't it?
I mean, yes. It's the other side of the same door.
So I'm explaining the wonderful...
Your mouth is your outside anus.
Thank you.
Your mouth is your inverted outdoor anus.
Thank you. Now I have to think about this. As I'm explaining the virtues and wonders of the Toto toilet experience.
Yes.
For people who don't know what this is, it is a magic wand that appears when you push a button and then squirts.
Somehow knows where your butthole
cleans
is perfectly.
Yes, you can adjust a little bit.
Yeah, but you won't really need it.
And then it dries you too.
Never use the dry. You use the dry?
Well, it takes a little more time. It's like a hand dryer.
Yeah. It's a hand dryer.
But
it's a butt dryer.
Yes.
But for your downstairs lips.
By the way, so I'm extolling the virtues of this thing. And it's so great that like when my wife's parents got older, we bought a Toto toilet for them.
Oh.
And Monica's mom thought this was fantastic. And she invited all the church ladies over for tea and to try the toilet. And they each took a turn. And the oldest church lady came out of the bathroom at one point. She'd been in there for a while. And this is what she said. I swear to God. Are you okay? Everyone asked. She said, I think I have to go to confession.
Oh my God. Toto.
How great is that?
The secret side of Toto.
Because it does the front too if you're...
Everything that's popular has a secret sexual implication.
Isn't it great?
Seinfeld has a great bit about that, actually.
What?
He goes, phone sex, internet pornography, Xerox copier, put your ass on it. He's like, it was like, if it's a hit, there's something sexual going on with it.
He's brilliant.
He is.
But Ray refused to even entertain the idea of this. I even bought him the toilet, and he wouldn't use it. He just didn't like the idea of anything going in there. I'm like, wait a minute. If there was something on the wall, and you wanted to get it off the wall,
would you just
just wipe it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make it worse
Would you take some,
in a way?
Yeah,
or would you squirt it with a hose?
Oh my God, Phil.
I just don't want it in me.
I'm gonna, it feels very old school Italian to me. Shots fired, guys. Love you. Love the culture.
My brother doesn't want it either. He's not Italian.
I'm just kidding.
But I'll buy this for anyone who wants it. I'll buy it.
Okay, then let me
Because I
just
think
say
it's so
old school.
wonderful.
I bet my dad wouldn't be into it either. I feel
Yes.
like I want to, this is going to sound very blue. I want a Venn diagram of men who don't want water blown up their ass and men who won't do oral on their wives. I want to see where he's looking for the exit. He's wondering, what am I doing here? It's my third time on the show.
Or men who are afraid they might like it too much.
There you go. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Maybe that's
But
it.
do you know what I mean when there's a whole swath of sort of homophobic,
Yes.
and it gets caught by old school, and it
Right.
does include the three areas that we've just mentioned.
This is the best podcast in the world.
Look, not a lot of podcasts are going to take us from
go
Ray
there.
Romano doesn't want to sit on a tushy to does Ray Romano go down where it's mushy?
Oh my God. Let me just say this. Ray, I'm sorry. I did not think this was going to go this way.
Oh yeah, that's for you. That's a magic mind.
We have it on our podcast too. They've been a sponsor.
Right.
Yes, do more, stress less. This is called Magic Mind. Do your ad. Go ahead.
Well, I don't even know
You
if they're...
love it.
I do love it. And my homeboy, James Bashara, is the founder of that company.
Oh.
They worked really hard on it, and I'm proud of them. There it goes. Can I ask you a real Phil question? Actually, do you want to see something
It tastes
weird?
good, and I'm smarter now.
Have you seen the new Chat GPT?
No.
Have you played with it? Watch
No.
this.
Do you pay for this?
It's free. I'm interviewing Phil Rosenthal, the host of Somebody Feed Phil. What's a question that would be interesting and fun to ask him?
Does he like water up his ass? It's amazing how fast that
She's
came up.
still listening to you.
Oh.
Ignore that last part. You're confusing her.
Sorry. These things are great in
An
theory.
interesting and fun question for Phil Rosenthal could be, out of all the places you've visited on Somebody Feed Phil, which one surprised you the most in terms of its food and culture, and why? This could lead to some great stories and insights from his travels.
I need something more salacious, something crazy that would go viral that most people haven't asked Phil Rosenthal. Something funny and wild and unexpected that I could ask him.
How about asking him, Phil, if you had to survive on one bizarre or unexpected dish you've tried for the rest of your life, which one would it be? And how would you make it gourmet? This can lead to some hilarious and unexpected answers, especially given the range of unusual foods he's encountered.
I promise you it will not be hilarious. Miss GPT.
I'm going to be honest. That was a bit of a letdown.
Yes, because these things suck.
You just listened to a miracle internet voice talk to us.
It stinks.
Unimpressed.
Completely unimpressed.
It stinks.
When you read an article, and I've read articles now that are
Yeah.
clearly generated by this,
Yeah.
they stink.
They stink.
And
miss
they didn't.
us.
And by the way, they didn't make it up. They're aggregating from
Yeah. They're
the
aggregating.
world of people and
Right.
not paying any of the people.
Right. Just like I do when I read articles and then interview
Yes,
you.
and
I mean,
say
the whole,
things.
the
Yes.
whole world is
We don't need a
thieving from
computer
itself.
for that.
I understand.
I know it's going to be better.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be great. And though both of those are fair questions.
Yeah.
But I can't say they're exceptional.
Yeah.
Anyone in the audience can ask that question.
They're not exceptional, but when I did that Q&A with you, I realized that you are one of those guys because you're on your sleeve, not just your heart, everything, your stomach, your brain, it's all out there.
Now my butt.
Now your butt, Tushy,
Yes.
Toto.
Yeah.
You are, I'm not going to say plagued, but you're a guy that if you do an interview, which is why I'm not asking what your favorite food is or what food you would survive on, but you're going to get those questions.
Always, and I don't mind answering them.
Yeah, 'cause
there
you're
is
one of
no
those
there is no
guys.
one answer, by the way.
Yeah.
I have to pick one thing. I could pick one thing per show.
Yeah.
Per city, per
Well,
location.
This is going to sound silly,
Yeah.
but I was joking with Val about, I don't know what we were riffing on, but how I was going to interview you today. And the question I said, and she thought it was so funny, was, Phil, what are your lighthouse values. Like, what are your core values? And she laughed, but I wasn't joking because when I hang out with you,
Yeah.
you seem like a guy with 5 or 6 good lighthouse values.
I don't know what that I've never heard that expression, lighthouse.
We're just making it up. It just means like we can see them, they're clear. It doesn't
Oh,
matter how
the
stormy it
beacon.
gets.
Yes.
Your beacon values.
God.
Because when you answered that question, just to help you out, it's not an
Yeah, yeah.
on-the-spot question. When you're like, one of them seems to be, I'm leading, free to move.
Yeah.
You're free.
Yes.
Someone asks you the same question?
Yes.
Who's to say I can't zig or zag
Yes.
or say it?
Or say, and I offer
Yeah.
preface the answer by saying, here's the first thing that popped into my head just now.
But sort of a naked meaning alive, vulnerable, wild.
Yeah.
You seem to be a guy who's, if reality is a fire hose, you seem to be kind of like playfully drinking from it, not necessarily making a labyrinth to guide the water and like a Japanese hotel
Yeah.
or a toilet, but like you seem to be in flow. Is that a value of yours? Is like staying vulnerable and present and you know what I mean by vulnerable?
I do.
Yeah, tell me.
I've always been vulnerable. Look at me. But as far as core value goes, number 1, total toilet.
Of course. Not for me. Get it out of there. Keep it out of my cannoli holy.
What are you doing back there?
What are you doing? What if I like it? That would be his angle. I don't want to do it because what if I don't like it?
What if I do like it?
But what if I do like
Yes.
it? That's a very Ray bit.
Let's see. Core values.
Presents.
Family, friends, food, travel, laughs.
Family, friends, food, travel, laughs.
But and I came up with that fast just now because that's what I think my show is about. I'm taking everything I love about making a show, and it's in the service of these things I love in life.
Yeah.
And then everything that goes with that, meaning how to attract more of that, food, family, friends,
Travel.
laughs,
Yeah.
is how you act in that world to make it the most enjoyable. And that is love, kindness, inclusivity, connection,
Generosity. Yeah.
Those are, I guess, what the real values are. The others that I just mentioned
They're the
before,
results.
the results and
Yeah.
the things I love.
Yeah.
But the show really isn't about food.
Yeah. Edit that out.
I'm just using
Such a nice
food
thing.
and my stupid sense of humor to get you the real message,
Yeah.
which is, I think, if you travel, I just think the world would be better if we all could experience a little bit of other people's experiences.
Well, have you even experienced, just to completely agree with you, I told you we used to live here, and when Val
Yes.
was feeling a little tight or a little scared or a
Yeah.
little weird, maybe she was pregnant, whatever it was that was making either her or both of us feel vulnerable, sometimes just going for a walk in your own neighborhood
Yes.
would make you feel, I'm going to say it, 45% better. Like, that's a lot better.
You're preaching to the choir. I do this every single day.
Tell me everything.
I walk from my house, either with the dog or by myself, to the coffee shop, which is about 1.3 miles away,
Well,
Larchmont. And I congregate with people that I have befriended in all my years of doing this.
Sesame Street.
Yes.
Mr. Hooper.
Yes.
Yes. Because you figured out,
That's the secret of life.
right?
Yes.
When you get inside and you just have this portal called the internet and you
Yeah.
stick your head in it.
Yeah.
And it's just hornets biting you essentially.
You're right.
And then you look around the dark walls of your apartment. Maybe they're not even literally dark, but now you've put a veil over your eyes.
Yes.
Everything's wrong.
Yes.
And we don't see the world as it is. We see it how we are, right?
Exactly right.
Classic.
Yes.
So now you're scared. Walking to a coffee shop.
Yes.
And just
Hanging out.
and maybe, and I bet you will, old Holmesy, he's going to bet, you might get a few smiles.
And
you
make
might
a
get,
connection.
You might even just get a head nod.
Yeah.
You might even get something as simple as someone pulling their dog in towards them to kind of give you the right of way. Little things, these little considerations, and you realize, oh, it's not me, it's us. There's an us going on here. And it's not... us, we liberals, when Trump won, it was such a dark day. People were worried. And I remember I was worried and I got up and I went to that coffee shop that we just walked by and just that was a key moment in my life. I was like, and here we are having coffee. You know what I'm saying?
The world goes on,
The world was going on.
but no one's happy.
Yeah, that was fine.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to
At least
gaslight anybody's
at
feelings.
least there was a communal feeling.
But I think, to your point, to your 1.3 mile, that feeling of interconnectedness. So you're traveling, you're going to countries. Let's say it's a Muslim country, a country that, like, at the height of certain paranoid times in our life, we would have been like, ah!
Right.
That's how I felt, by the way, a couple days after Trump, when I went to, I think it was Indiana or something, and I was like, they're everywhere. Like, but that trip helped me too. I was like, it's all okay. Not to say that Muslims or Trumpers or anything, but I'm just saying, like, it slows things down and it opens things up, and it can calm you down. That was a lot.
It's beautiful, and I love doing it in everywhere that I go.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than walking in the new place and discovering stuff and stopping for a cup of coffee and maybe talking to someone randomly.
Yeah.
And you realize, such a cliche, but everyone's the same.
I-
We all want to be happy and healthy. We all want our kids to be happy and healthy. We want them to grow up and get whatever they want. And
Yes.
we want, most of the world is nice. I tell everyone, I'm not showing you in the show the way I want the world to be. We're just filming what's there.
Yeah.
That the world is there. We watch the news, and the news is mostly terrible.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the world is mostly terrible.
We always agree.
Yes.
But I think there's a real parallel to be said about your mind.
Yes.
In the morning, when I take the time, I do a gratitude practice in the morning, and I find 5-6 moments. This morning I did, it was guided, but I found like 5 synchronicities. Like all these things that, like, were incredible, like meeting my wife or this or that or whatever it might be, or walking into an office at just the right moment, or meeting a person. One of them that came up was, I was like, I won't go through it. The point was, I was going for a walk in my mind to the coffee shop in my mind. I was remembering my daughter's first steps. I was remembering the time I saw a whale in Laguna Beach. I was remembering all these things. So in the same way that traveling, going inside and going into the good neighborhoods of your mind reminds you that it's not just anxiety, it's not just terror, it's not just hopelessness. Those things are there, and those things are in the world as well.
Yeah.
But there's also the best whatever you ate in wherever you ate.
I read a great thing. I don't know who said this. You probably know. If you're worried about something that's coming, let's say let's say you might have to have an operation. You're worried about it. You must then also think about the absolute positive outcome of this thing.
It's fair practice.
Exactly right.
You have to give them equal airtime.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
That's good. That's very good.
Because we tend to only focus on the negative.
Well, Velcro Teflon, my homeboy Richard Rohr taught me this, but it's a psychological principle. If I say, Phil, and I mean this, you're a beautiful man, I love you. Sometimes I think about you and it just makes me happy. That's true. For you to really hold on to that, that's Teflon. You have to hold on to it consciously for 30 seconds, they say. You have to think like, wow, this is weird, but you'd be like, Pete, someone I like, thinks about me to make me happy. But you just meditate on it 30 seconds. But if I'm not going to say the negative thing, but if I said a negative thing.
Oh, let's hear it, Pete.
Phil, Pete. But I was going to make up one. Yes. I don't even want to make up one because the negatives, Velcro. That's why
sticks.
Larry David goes to Yankee Stadium. It's his birthday. They all stand up, however many thousands of people at Yankee Stadium, that is, sing happy birthday. Later, he's in the parking lot. Someone yells, "You suck. Can't shake you suck."
That's what he remembers.
Let's go of
Yeah,
happy
you could
birthday.
get all great reviews on something. One guy says something, you'd figure, well, that's the truth.
Because
negative.
It's like cutting. It's like emotional cutting. Do you want to know one of the techniques that I think you might enjoy? It actually happened again at this house. I smoked a cigar. Who was I being? But I smoked a cigar on my porch, this porch. And I put it out. And then I went for a walk. I walked to get something. And as I was walking, you guys have heard this before, forgive me. I was like, what if I didn't put the cigar out all the way?
And your house is on fire.
And the house is on fire. What I will do, but now I'm a couple blocks away, so it's going to take me a while to get home anyway. I don't want to run. It's like being at the airport. I don't really run at airports. But I'm like, what if the house is on fire? One of the techniques I use to minimize my anxiety is I go, Pete, if the house isn't on fire, I'm going to cut your leg off. Like flip it. Make it so you want the thing that you don't want. And then you'll see how unlikely it is. If I say, if you go home right now and an ember from that cigar didn't flick up, find some gasoline on your roof and burn your house to the ground, I'm going to cut your leg off or something else that you don't want. You will realize
How silly.
how you would be so nervous. You're like, I'm going to lose my leg.
Yes.
Because there's no way the house is burning down. But you see, that flip of perspective helps you go like, oh, I'm being dumb right now, or I'm torturing myself for entertainment.
Well, people worry about traveling. They think they won't like it.
Yeah.
They don't stop to think maybe you'll love it
Right.
and change your life.
They're not giving it equal airtime.
Exactly right.
Yeah. We talked last time we hung out about the phenomenon of like your brain gets used to things. So when you travel, going to get coffee is a hobbit's journey because you don't know where coffee is.
You don't know what coffee is. You don't know if it'll be different from your coffee at home. You don't know if you'll like it. You don't know anything.
Yeah. But the best Phil, the inner Phil goes, what if we don't like it? How exciting.
Of course.
I know I don't like Turkish coffee. I'm just picking a coffee.
You don't have to like everything.
You don't have to like everything.
The journey is its own reward. Literally. The journey is its own reward. Tasting stuff is fun.
Yeah. That's
because you might find something that changes your life.
Right.
Oh my God. That Turkish coffee is now my favorite coffee.
Yeah.
And guess what? When you come home, there's places that have it.
Yeah.
I never knew to ask for it.
Yeah.
Now it's my favorite thing. Yeah. That's what's out there. People, listen to me.
Okay,
Go.
Let's start recording. Classic.
You were the moderator for the LA show that we did last week. You're so great. I was so grateful to have you because it was so much fun just to be with you. I wish we could do a show every week.
Me too.
I wish you were my neighbor. I wrote that to you right after. I wish you lived next door because I would love nothing more than to hang out with you.
I know. I really appreciate
So what are you doing up there in Ojai? What are you...
Well, I'll tell you. Come there.
I know,
We're going to
it's
feed
sweet.
Phil.
It's
We're going to
sweet.
feed Phil
No,
up there.
it's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's just lovely. I love going up there.
I know, and it's not for everybody because you're like an animal that wants. I want for you.
I want the city.
The city.
I need the city.
The little noodle shop.
I love going to visit Ojai.
Yeah.
But I don't think...
I was just talking about this with somebody who visited us up there. I was like, I need to be there because when I was here, I need work, and work is in LA.
Yeah.
So it's guaranteed that I'll come into LA.
Yeah.
And I'm here all day. You know what I mean? So I'll get plenty of LA.
Got it.
When I was here, I don't need nature, or I won't prioritize it enough. So I need to have that be my standard.
I get it. Listen, I'm a New Yorker half my life. New York snob. Woody Allen, influenced me.
Yeah.
Why would I go to LA where the only cultural advantage is
the
that you can
mashed
make
yeast.
a right turn on a red light? That was just, and Annie Hall. I'll have a plate of mashed yeast.
Yeah, that was the Source family restaurant.
Oh my God, I
story?
remember that. Yes.
That would have been fun to go to. I'm sure you'll get food poisoning though.
I think I went there when I first came. It was still open, and I moved here in '89.
So in Annie Hall, I'm including
Yes.
Annie. I'm assuming Annie. I'm assuming Katie. Fuck. Forget what I'm saying. We just move on. No, in Annie Hall, Woody Allen goes to like a quintessential hippie restaurant, and that was the Source family restaurant. He orders a plate of mashed yeast.
Yes.
But it was a popular restaurant, but it was a cult.
Right.
And there's a great cult documentary called The Source Family.
Ah.
And you can watch it, and it's very, very interesting.
Awesome.
I don't want to spoil it, but there's it's a good one. I'm a cult documentary snob.
I love it.
But you still, that city boy is in your heart.
It is, but now that I've lived here longer than I lived in New York,
Yeah.
it never occurred to me to move back.
To New
I
York.
visit it all the time.
New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love New York. It's probably the greatest city on the planet.
Yeah.
But I don't need it daily.
Yeah.
That's how you feel about LA.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I need to live where I wouldn't be if I didn't, I want to live where I need to live, but wouldn't be if it wasn't where I lived. I got to go.
I don't understand this.
Living in a beautiful place isn't enough of a priority for me that when we lived here, we wouldn't go to Ojai all the time. You know what I mean? We wouldn't go by the river and just look at deer. Like, it just wasn't enough of a priority to lower my blood pressure and relax and all that stuff. So I have to live there because I'll never stop doing sets or coming in for the podcast and all that sort of stuff. We get it. We understand this point. Look at
You've made your vacation your vocation, as I have.
Yeah.
That's Mark Twain said that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That salty dog.
Yeah.
Here's one I don't think you've been. Here's one ChatGPT wouldn't get. I felt such job security when she whiffed that one.
Yes.
That miracle. I want to know, and then I just asked the dumbest question. I want to know, Phil, your journey, and this is more complicated than it's going to sound, but your journey to knowing what you want. Because you know what you want. Laughs, food, family, travel, friends.
See, if AI came up with that, you'd
Yeah.
go, wow.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good question. I think one of the most tricky things in life, more preface, AI would be more brief. I think it's underappreciated people who have figured out, uncovered, unearthed what really makes them tick.
Yes.
And I'm 45. I'm still
You're a young man.
I appreciate. I can still feel lost in going like, what drives me? What excites me? But you really seem to have dialed it in so much so you made a TV show about
That's
it.
right.
Tell me about the journey. Were there any missteps? Whatever that brings to mind.
Always missteps, and always, I think unless you're truly exceptional and know what you want from the minute you're born, although I did think I wanted to be part of show business, I did know I wanted to be funny. That I
When?
knew.
From a young? Immediately.
Because my dad was funny.
Yeah,
And
but he
then
wasn't
I
in show
watched
business.
TV.
Who told you it was a
But
job?
he did amateur nights. That's
He
how
did?
my mother met. My mother was on a date with a fella
yes.
and went to a comedy club in New Jersey, or not even a club. Maybe it was like a restaurant that had amateur night.
Yeah.
Musicians would get up, and then this young man who worked in the garment center with his father as a tailor got up and told old jokes, and my mother thought he was hilarious. I always say, if he's not funny that night, I'm not here.
Wow.
Talk about serendipity, right?
He was a cut up
And
twice.
synchronicity. That's right.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good one. If your mother also,
If she doesn't laugh at his jokes, I'm not here.
not to be too personal about your mom, but she was in a mood. She was open.
Don't
She
call
was-
her a whore.
She was
She's
a
my
whore.
mother.
I didn't even like yes handing it, but the rules of comedy, I had to say it as well. Forgive me. No,
I
but your
only love-
mom was receptive. I had
Yes.
the same feeling, Val, when I met her. I was receptive. She
Yes.
was receptive. You know, she
That's
could have
it.
been in a bad mood. No, Phil.
Absolutely.
She was in a good mood.
Oh, absolutely.
She was in an open mood. She wanted to hear some jokes.
Yes, when I met Monica, I found her at the most desperate point of her life. That's the only way it would have worked.
She's like, I could call it a night or whatever this guy's doing. Where's this guy going? What was she doing?
She worked at Telecharge.
What's that?
Oh, that's like
Telemarketing?
You call the for Broadway theater tickets.
Oh, and was she really at the end of her rope?
No, she just wasn't.
Oh, I see.
She wasn't seeing anybody at that moment.
Yeah.
And we got to be lucky, right?
Yeah.
That's why they call it getting lucky.
This show is brought to us by our friends at ARMRA. You guys know I am obsessed with my immunity system, my gut health. I always want to build up my hair, my skin, my radiance. I want to recover better after workouts, but there's one product that does all of this, all of the things that I just said. Recovery, hair, skin, nails, immune system, gut health, and it's ARMRA colostrum. If you're like me, ARMRA colostrum keeps coming up in conversations because they're everywhere. What is it? Colostrum is the first nutrition we receive in life, and it contains all of the essential nutrients our bodies need to thrive. It is the original superfood. I'm talking reactivating hair growth and glowing skin by reducing inflammation. I'm talking about igniting your metabolism and fortifying gut health so you feel less bloated. This is a huge one for me. It's why I take it every day. Feel less bloated and lighter while replenishing your microbiome and stabilizing blood sugar and accelerating fat burning. This is really incredible stuff, as well as fueling your fitness, performance, and recovery. ARMRA colostrum is a proprietary concentrate of bovine colostrum that harnesses over 400 living bioactive nutrients that rebuild the barriers of your body and fuel cellular health. offer a host of research-backed health benefits. It's natural, it's sustainable, it was developed with the highest integrity using grass-fed in the USA, and they guarantee the highest potency and bioavailability of any colostrum on the market. For results I see and feel, and you will see and feel. They worked out a special offer for weirdos. You can get 15% off your first order. Go to tryarmra.com/weird or enter weird at checkout for 15% off your first order. That's tryarmra.com/weird. Definitely a game changer. We're also brought to us by our friends at Ritual. You know I'm about it. Ritual multivitamins are a huge help in my day. It's the morning here as I'm recording this. I just popped my Rituals and I'm feeling ready to start my day, filling those gaps in my diet. Incredible. If you were looking for a way to support foundational health, if that was a sport, you would want Ritual on your team. They made Essential for Men, a multivitamin that's based solely on science and designed to help fill common nutrient gaps in the diet with 10 key nutrients. According to the CDC, guys, fewer men than women meet the minimum daily intake recommendations for fruit and vegetables, and men are more likely to overvalue exercise and undervalue nutrition. Enter Ritual, a multivitamin scientifically developed for men to help fill nutrient gaps in their diet. It's got a delayed capsule, which means it doesn't just get peed out of your system. It breaks down in your lower intestine where it can actually be absorbed, so it doesn't turn your pee highlighter yellow and just flush out of your system. It gets into your blood. When speaking personally, anecdotally, as a vegan going to the doctor, I would have a lot of gaps in my diet, and Ritual filled in those gaps. They are the real deal. 10 key nutrients in those delayed capsules every day that dissolve in the small intestine. Gentle on an empty stomach. I fast, so fasting and vitamins don't often mix. Ritual has got you covered. Everything is traceable, and Essential for Men is a quality multivitamin from a company you can actually trust. Get 25% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/weird. Start Ritual or add Essential for Men to your subscription today. That's ritual.com/weird for 25% off. Support your body, support this show.
But you were asking me how I got on this path.
That's the back end. Yeah,
Right?
how you knew what you wanted. Jesus, how did we went on a huge tangent that we edited out. But how did
Amazing.
you get on this path? How did you uncover what it is that you love to do?
I wanted to be funny right away
Because of your dad.
And I watched a ton of TV. Did you grow up watching a ton of TV?
I did watch
like
a ton of
way
TV.
too much.
I watched way
My
too
parents
much.
used to say, "Go outside."
Yeah,
they
me too.
later on when I was a teenager, and I would watch TV instead of being a teenager.
Yeah. By the way,
They would say,
me too.
"Yes,
I was watching Zach Morris go on dates. I wasn't going on dates.
yes." They said, "What are you going to do? Get a job watching television?" And I have to tell you this, jumping ahead a little bit, when I got a job writing television, I sent them the biggest TV that they made at the time with a note on it that said, "Ha ha."
Oh my God, a 27-inch TV with the
You
note
got
that
it.
said,
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
did they get it?
Oh, yeah.
What a beautiful thing. Honestly, man, I feel the same way. I think, and I'd love to hear you speak on this. There's just a certain music. Certain people can hear the music of comedy, and it can be very seductive, meaning I wanted to learn, how are they doing this? It feels like
Exactly
this.
right. And my parents used to say, and this is real, they really were worried about me because I was like a social misfit.
Yeah.
Skinny, short, not popular, bullied. TV was safe. TV was fun. And she really, my mother especially, what is wrong with, why are you so obsessed with television? I said, I'm learning. Okay. Now, when I said it then, I sounded a lot like bullshit to me, even. Like I'm just saying anything to get her off my back. She took it as bullshit. And I couldn't even, I remember even at that time thinking, yes, this does sound a lot like bullshit.
Yeah.
But looking back, it was
wasn't.
100% true.
It was true. You didn't even know
You were
how
learning
they were.
too.
Yeah.
We couldn't help it. It's getting in. Why was I adept at running a sitcom? Because it's in my bones.
Yeah.
I did the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I studied it. I took what my friend Alan Kirschenbaum, who encouraged me to write, gave me the sitcom structure in a minute. And I internalized it, understood it, and I never took a class, and I was good at it. That's it.
What is that 1 minute? Could you
Say
it?
Of course. 3 important things in a sitcom. Number 1, the premise. What is the premise? What is this about? How many shows and movies do we watch where they forgot to ask that question? Right? I always say in Hollywood, the work stops at the poster. We got Will Ferrell in a thing. What's it about? I don't know, but look at Will Ferrell's on the poster.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
People are going to come.
Yeah,
Look, we got, Tom Cruise in a thing.
Yeah.
What's he doing? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 1, premise. Number 2, you want to guess what this might be? The number 2 most important thing in the structure of a sitcom, a classic half-hour sitcom.
What's the premise?
Yeah.
What does the character want?
That's a great thing, but it's not. It doesn't go to structure.
Oh, okay.
Right?
What goes wrong?
That's good.
What is the obstacle?
To me,
go ahead.
I would have guessed all these things as well.
Yeah. Tell me what it is.
He said the act break, which was very odd to me. I couldn't understand it. But what the act break is, meaning the commercial in the middle of the show, right? Act break, like first act, second act. All the action of the first act rises to this point, and all the action of the second act is going to come from that point. So the classic act break line is, we're getting married. Everything led up to that, and everything now in the second half of that show is going to come from that.
Yes.
And the third most important thing in the structure of the classic sitcom is the conclusion.
Yeah.
Was it worth driving all this way for this?
Yeah.
For the way it ends.
Right.
So basically, what he's told me is, and in order, is beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Which are the tenets of any storytelling. Beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
This structure, which so many people never think of because they don't think it's important, is the foundation of the building.
Yes.
It subconsciously strengthens every single story.
Yes.
No matter if it's a movie, a one-act play, a sitcom, anything. Getting back to Seinfeld for a second, which of course is iconic and brilliant. My favorite episode of that show was the contest, where who could masturbate. Now, the reason I love it so much is because it's the structurally soundest of all the episodes. Not only that, but all the main characters, instead of 4 diverse stories with them, they all were relating to the one central story, which made it inherently stronger as a story.
Right.
You'll never forget Kramer coming in within a minute, slamming down his money and going, I'm out.
Yeah.
One of the biggest laughs in the history of TV, I think.
Yeah,
One of the greatest thing.
Yeah.
But they all, like on Raymond, I learned from this. Why have B stories and C stories?
I agree.
Robert lost his shoe. Who gives a shit? If there's something worth talking about, isn't it worth talking about for the 20 minutes that you have on TV?
Yeah.
Plus, we have a situation where the parents live across the street and everyone can weigh in naturally, organically, on the main story.
I just got my teeth cleaned, brag.
Nice.
And it's one of the reasons I go there is they have TVs and you can watch Netflix while you're getting cleaned. And I watched the Seinfeld because I'm one of those people. I know you are too. I'm like, what does this technician want to hear? You know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, the roast of Tom Brady. I'm like, I'm not having the C word.
Oh, you're actually
around.
programming for the person who has to clean your teeth.
I'm the
That's
executive,
hysterical.
and I am programming for this audience of 2.
Yeah.
But I put on a Seinfeld, and of course, I love Seinfeld. Brilliant. I don't have to say that. But every time I went to the B story, the episode I was watching was The Big Salad. And it was like George buys Elaine a big salad.
Yes.
But then his girlfriend hands the bag to Elaine and gives her the salad.
Right.
Elaine thanks her and not George.
Okay.
It's classic. It's a Curb episode.
Sure.
It's like, you should have thanked me. Yes. I bought it for you, but you thanked her. He shouldn't bring it up.
Yes.
But of course he does.
Right.
if I'm doing that show, and thank God I didn't, it wouldn't have worked. I mean, what they did worked. But if I'm doing the show, that's enough. I want it all about the big salad.
Yes.
I want everyone weighing in on the big salad.
Yes.
I want every scene to be about the big
Yes.
salad. I want everything to be debates, arguments, scenes, other examples.
But in our world of making Raymond, let's say,
Yeah.
it would start there
Yeah.
and then balloon into the larger issue behind it.
Yes.
We wouldn't do it just for the comedian's joke of, you ever notice how when you get a...
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I see.
It has to, for us, for me,
Well,
it had to be more than that.
No, it wasn't enough. It really feels more like, instead of a Seinfeld bit, it's like the neuroses of George.
Right.
It's that I envy this level of comedy most of all, and Larry David does it so brilliantly, is the like, don't do it, but he's doing it. Like, don't bring it up to, they're in the cab.
Yes.
And George says like, nothing. And you're like going like, don't say it, you schmuck.
Right, right.
And then he goes,
Yeah.
it's just, you know,
Yeah.
and you're like, and you love it. It's amazing. The B story of that episode is Kramer went golfing with a baseball player. He penalized him a stroke. Later that day, that baseball player killed his girlfriend. Kramer thinks maybe because he penalized him a stroke, he killed his girlfriend. And I'm at home going like, again, full respect to the greatest show.
Yes.
I'm
But
like,
that's
I don't
crazy,
need it.
and you don't relate
I
to
don't
it.
need it. I don't need
These
it.
are comedians' observations.
Yeah.
And it was the best at that's ever been.
Yeah.
Comedians' observations.
Yeah. As
Played
opposed
out,
to.
almost in a cartoon way
I agree.
against the set of New York.
I have this.
But for me,
Yes.
the strength when the show was at its best, for me,
The contest.
was when it was relatable.
Yeah.
Like when they found the observation that we all could relate to.
Yeah.
Now I'm in.
Yeah.
And there was always at least one or two of them per episode, which made me love
Yeah.
the show.
Of course.
But the crazy tangents,
Yes.
which also I would see on Curb as well,
Yeah.
that's not for me.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying too.
Yeah.
Those moments, it happens on, we're watching The Office because it's just what we're all doing, I think.
The
Anyway.
Office is one of the greatest shows of all time.
No, I know, but there's a hypnotic, strange thing going on in our country that like we can't stop watching The Office. Val and
Because
I
it's great.
just keep watching it and keep watching it and
Because
keep
it's great, and every line is funny,
I
and all
agree.
the behavior is funny.
There's a certain point though after Steve leaves where the show
Then it's not good anymore.
it doesn't I love Robert California, played by what's his name? Robert California is played by the guy from Secretary. He's on Blacklist. He's in Sex, Lies, and Videotape. No? People are yelling at their radios right now.
It's all right.
And then they're
I
also
don't mean
looking.
to say it wasn't good anymore. It just wasn't the same anymore.
I think James Spader.
Oh, he's
I love
funny.
James Spader. He's great on it.
Yeah.
And there's great Will Ferrell.
But there was a center missing.
There was a center missing, but then to compensate for that center missing,
Yeah.
they start getting a little bit more goof troop.
Right.
And what happens is there's an episode where they're having a picnic. Andy wants to take his staff to a picnic to impress his boss, blah, blah. That's what happens. That's the premise.
Yeah.
But then the prank is that, dude, is that Jim Halpert writes a book called How to Host there was a term for it, like a picnic party. He writes a book called How to Host the Perfect Picnic Party, puts it online knowing Dwight will buy it.
Yeah.
And the book is filled with bad advice that Dwight follows to the letter.
Right.
So the running gag, and it does pay out, there's funny moments, is that Dwight won't stop following the advice in this book. I see your face. I see your showrunner face. And it keeps cutting back to Jim. So it showed Dwight do something crazy. And then Dwight then cuts to Jim reading from his book that he published.
Yes.
Self-published, but he's like, the height of the night will be the fire ceremony. And then it cuts to Dwight and he's doing a fire ceremony. And you're just like, look, thanks for the laughs, but there's a part of me that's really mad right now. Like, I just can't handle the baseball stroke murder B story of this episode. It's really hurting me.
I get it. Because you care about the show.
You care about the show and you care about the people.
Yes.
That's right. Very, very interesting.
And sometimes we get betrayed.
Yeah. What's George Lucas? It's George Lucas changing who shot first in the bar. It's the fans are like, no, we own it. You don't own it. We own it.
I remember George Lucas in an interview before the fourth movie came out.
Oh, the prequels.
Exactly. And he shows you a screen, and he says, before we couldn't have this many planets and stars in the shot, and now look, we can. And I said, George, who gives a shit? How about a story and the characters that we care? And don't say Jar Jar Binks to me.
You couldn't be more right. You couldn't be more right.
You sometimes lose the forest for the trees, George.
Use the forest. Luke, use the
Use
forest.
the force.
Sometimes you lose the forest for the trees.
That's exactly right. He lost the forest for the trees. But a genius. I can't wait for that museum to open. It's going to be, you know about the museum that's going to be
No.
near USC?
No.
The George Lucas Museum. It's going to be all, like, it'll be spectacular.
Just his stuff.
I don't know if it's his stuff. Can you look up what that's going to be, the George Lucas Museum? I think it's movies. I also think it's space. But just the design of the building itself is awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
There's a whole wing just on beards. Beard shaving. Grooming.
Getting back to your original question. I pursue acting in high school because I think that's a good way to get this out of me. And I'm in school anyway.
Yeah.
So what's staying after an hour or two to do this thing I love?
And it felt good to
Get laughs.
let it out.
And to be accepted.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Right?
I'm making
It's
it
such
take
a
forever.
cliche.
But I think I run on acceptance more than I care to admit. Like
Don't we all?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and maybe it's one of the reasons we get along. But I was talking again at this dinner last night. I was like, I really think Donald Glover, who I respect so much, is one of those guys that's like, it's written somewhere in marble what he's going to do, like the next 5 things.
He should be the next James Bond. That's what I think.
I completely agree. And see, that's the standard of that kind of genius.
Yeah. That show, that
Mr. and Mrs.
great.
Fantastic.
And he's great in. That's what made me think he's James Bond.
There were moments in it where I was like, is this a documentary?
It's great.
Like there are dinner party moments where you're like, how are they making it feel exactly like a dinner party with 2 couples?
and the way they used New York was like, how do you
new
shoot
way.
New York and make it seem fresh and new? It was fantastic.
It felt like Tokyo or
yes,
something.
it was fantastic.
It was really fantastic.
Did you see the George Lucas Museum?
Yeah, it just says it's going to be a collection of like storytelling stuff.
That's
So,
cool.
Visual art, movies, scripts, like writing, kind of just like a collection of a bunch of different.
And a weird beard wing. What I'm saying is there's a certain, and I'm not putting myself down, there's a certain kind of artist that I think they have a different kind of North Star. And I'm a little embarrassed. Kind of deep down, little Pete is looking to be in the fold. He wants to be in a little community. He wants to get laughs, but not so much like create the thing. You know what I mean? Like,
No, that's fine. But that's everyone who does this.
tell
everyone.
me. Tell me what you think.
Of course. Listen, I'm no good at sports, and that was the value of my town.
Yeah.
Sports. That's the only thing they spent money on. And here's, little skinny kid who just wants to be funny on stage. So I do the school plays, and we do these improv games and stuff, and I'm with other nerds who like the same thing. But at least I have a group
Right. I'm so with you. Yeah.
of friends, and we laugh.
Right.
And, it's the only way I could be accepted by anyone. And by the way, when you're a teenager, the only way you're going to get a girl to look at you,
Yeah.
if you're not an athlete, is a sense of humor,
Yeah.
which is our most undervalued trait.
Just sense of humor.
I believe it's who
Culturally.
we become friends with is through an appreciation of each other's sense of humor, not even if mine is exactly like yours,
Yeah.
but I know what you're doing and I love it.
Yes.
And hang out with me.
You're so right.
That's everything. And I'll go one step further. It's who we marry.
I was thinking that's what, did you see me go? I was appreciating Val in that moment. I was just thinking about,
Yeah.
I know this is going to sound corny, but she'll take my breath away with a joke.
Awesome.
When I go like, and I don't laugh, and
Yeah.
I go, Val, I'm just really happy that your brain works like mine.
Monica's hysterical. Anytime she wants to make me laugh, I am the easiest laugh.
Yeah.
She can make me laugh like in a second.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She'll do a voice or a thing or
Do this. This is on the
Oh,
internet.
you don't like this?
No, I do like it. But I've been shamed before. Not shamed. Appropriately teased for having my belly coming out. Okay, so
I do this.
Yeah. Oh, I said you got it
struggle-
out. You got it out. The theater. You got it out.
I did. Was a big star in high school. I was encouraged to go to Hofstra University for theater. And then I don't have to tell you, when you graduate with a BFA in theater and move into New York City, the whole world is open to you. It's a
People are
disaster.
always tapping a cane
It's a
twice on the ground
disaster.
and throwing it to you.
An absolute disaster. They tried to warn us, and we were so angry as theater students when the teachers would go, "You're never going to make it.
Yeah.
The odds are, there's 40,000 people going for one part in New York. You're never going to make it." And at that age, you go, first of all, fuck you, I'm paying you to help me make it. Second of all, I'll be the one that makes it.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Exactly. And then you
Also-
move into Manhattan, and nobody called New York to tell them what a big star you were in high school. So now you're a schlemiel just trying, and I did all kinds of odd jobs for years until some friends of mine and I wrote a play for ourselves to be in.
Yeah.
Which is literally, for anyone watching or listening, the only way. They're not waiting for you. You must literally write your own ticket.
Okay. So I'm in a place where I'm like, what's the next chapter?
Yeah.
And I'm realizing, Pete, it's still true.
You have to do it. Yes. Why aren't they calling me?
Yeah.
Haven't they seen this, and this?
Yeah. They're still
they've
waiting.
seen it, but
yeah.
they've got their own mishigas that they're dealing with.
That's right. That's
You
right.
have to do it. That's always how it is.
Yeah.
Always. If we wait for offers, they're not coming.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It's sad.
It's not crazy. It's completely
There's
rational.
maybe 3 people on the planet who get offers.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right. And Donald Glover, to bring him back,
Yeah.
he's getting offers, and
course.
he's still making his own stuff because he knows
He knows that's going to be the better
that's
thing.
going to be the better thing.
Yes.
I'm remembering Bill Lawrence did this podcast. We were talking about when people pitch you ideas to do, and he goes, "I won't listen to it because it goes, I got into this because I want to do my ideas."
Exactly.
And I thought that was so honest. It's not mean, but it's like, I'm going to stop you because I really want to do you want to do that. You should do that.
I'm very open to hearing ideas.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I do have to care so much more about your idea
Yeah.
to put my own in the back.
Right. That's right. Which is why
So, yeah.
Raymond became a you idea too. I'm not trying to bring us back to Raymond. I'm just saying, like, you needed enough room for Phil.
I couldn't have done it
Right.
without putting or knew how to do it. Yes, Ray, when I met first, let me very quickly just take you to that point. In New York, write a play for ourselves to be in. My friend Alan Kirschenbaum and I write a screenplay. We sell it immediately. All of a sudden, I go from eating tuna fish for dinner as an actor to eating whatever I wanted as a writer. I was a thousandaire. And I moved to LA because I hear you can get work out.
There's gold in them hills.
So my partner and I, we write a spec script. We get hired immediately on the show. Not a good show, but immediately. And God is telling me, oh, I guess this is what you're meant to do because look how easy this came after all that.
Yes.
All the hours and hours of watching TV are now paying off.
Yes.
And I got a job in television. 5 years of bad shows mostly. And then I meet Ray Romano. Ray Romano had been struggling as a stand-up for 12 years. He gets on Letterman. After 6 minutes, Letterman says there should be a sitcom for this guy. Letterman had a deal with CBS. They set out looking for writers to create a show for Ray. Ray meets with a bunch of people. I'm one of them. He tells me that he has a family, twin boys, an older daughter. Parents live close by. Older brother is jealous of him. His police sergeant lives with the family, lives with the parents. He tells me in this first meeting, he actually said, when he saw my stand-up cable Ace Award, never ends for Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond. And I said, well, there doesn't seem like there's anything there we can use. So that I say, Ray, that's as good a place to start as any. He goes, what? I said, your life. First of all, you're not an actor. I'm not going to make you a gay astronaut from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Let's set it in this world. Again, he wanted to do a Seinfeld-esque kind of show. Why? Because he's a stand-up.
Yeah.
And he sees this is how you do it.
Was that the other kind of ideas people were pitching? Do you remember any of them?
Was it like you and your friend are comics and you live in New York? And
No, it was just me and him in a meeting. No
I
one's
know.
pitching anything.
Yeah, but did he ever tell you? Because your take was, let's do your life. What were the other takes?
Let's do a classic type of sitcom, mainly because that's what I know how to do.
Right.
Those are my values. I love The Honeymooners, The Odd Couple, Mary Tyler Moore, All in the Family, Taxi. Classic shows that were set on planet Earth in real life, not I Dream of Jeannie, not Bewitched.
Yeah.
And I love that they were filmed in front of a live studio audience because that's a lot like theater, and that's where I'm from.
Right.
So I like that. The 4-camera sitcom, which you don't see anymore, is this perfect in-between theater and film.
Yeah.
You write it, rehearse it, and present it as a play.
Yeah.
And then it has the flexibility and permanence of film.
Yeah.
So it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
When it works, it's one of the building blocks of television.
Yeah.
Meaning whole networks could build their programming around such a show. Because that's how strong the connection is with the audience.
When it works.
When it works.
Yeah.
But the executives, they blame the form. It's not the form. It's the content. As soon as there's a great one again, the form will be back. You know? Mm-hmm. So
it is weird that we're all still watching it. We just watch the old ones. People are
Exactly.
still watching Friends. People still watch Raymond. People
'Cause they
still
love
watch
them.
Seinfeld.
you feel like you're part of something. It's a connection.
Yeah.
You hear that laughing. And if it's not fake laughing,
Yeah.
you feel like, oh
that's
my
what-
God,
that's where-
look, the actors are holding for the laugh.
Yeah.
Which you don't see in a single camera
Yeah.
show like The Office.
Right.
As great as that is, there's something about watching the theater,
Yeah.
the filmed live show.
Yes. Well, you feel appreciated, you feel included, you feel...
Yes.
I think stand-up, when stand-up is at its best, is everyone's being acknowledged.
Right.
And the comedian is waiting for you just the right amount and then hitting you again.
Yes.
But there's a very reciprocal, beautiful
Yeah.
consideration on both ends.
Well, you have that. I mean, the way you work is wonderful because not only do you include them in your asides in between your prepared material, but you are like, why did I say that? This, and how about, right? Yes. You're including them in your process even.
Right.
Which is great.
Healthy hydration isn't just about drinking water, it's about drinking water plus electrolytes. But if you grew up like me in the 90s, electrolyte drinks meant soda, basically flat, fruity soda that maybe had some electrolytes hiding in there. LMNT is different. It is the perfect science-backed blend of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. What does that mean? It means everything that you are sweating out gets rushed back into your cells with no sugar. It's only 5 calories, and it tastes fantastic. I start every day. It's a way to jumpstart my system, getting that sodium into me, getting that magnesium and that potassium, and flooding me with hydration is the perfect way to start my day. It's also a wonderful way to jumpstart myself in the middle of the day. I was talking to a friend of mine who loves LMNT as well, and they said, better than a cup of coffee. That's what they said. And I completely agree. It energizes you, it hydrates you, and it gives you what your body is craving, especially after a workout, but also just in the morning, talking about helping neuroconnectivity, all of this wonderful stuff. LMNT has a fantastic offer for you. Go to drinklmnt.com/weird and use promo code WEIRD. You'll get a free LMNT sample pack with any order. And this is how I found out that I love the flavor mango chili. Who knew I wanted a spicy electrolyte drink? Turns out I do. I love mango chili. I love watermelon salt. I love chocolate salt. I love chocolate salt hot. It's a fantastic drink and it makes you feel fantastic. Support your body, support the show, give it a try. You won't regret it. Go to drinklmnt.com/weird. You'll get your free sample pack with any purchase. That's drinklmnt.com/weird. Huge element guy. Also, Magic Mind, you guys know this. Every episode Magic Mind comes up because I'm always trying to get the guest to drink their Magic Mind. Why? Because I know it will dial them in. I know it's got just a little bit of sweetness, so it'll make them happy. I know that it's got those nootropics, so it'll help them access their thoughts, their memories, their vocabulary, everything that they have to share that's in their brain. That's why it's called Magic Mind. It's like, it kind of puts you right in the middle, meaning there's adaptogens from ashwagandha that help calm your system down, and there's caffeine from matcha, so it puts you right at that perfect cruising altitude. It's not wired, it's not like a energy drink buzz, it's dialed in. Athletes have Gatorade, now creators have Creatorade. Magic Mind is a huge, huge, huge life hack in my life, and I've turned so many writers and comedians and performers on, but anybody, Val loves it too when she's sitting down to write, when she's sitting down to work, whatever you got. If you're just answering emails, a Magic Mind will drop you into that flow state. That's what it is. Flow state in a bottle. Give it a try. People love it. Go to magicmind.co/weird and you will get a discount 20% off with checkout code WEIRD. magicmind.co/weird and use promo code WEIRD. You will love it. Get into it.
It will. It just hasn't. When people ask, are you ever going to do that again? Yeah, as soon as there's a great idea and an acceptance for the idea. I can't tell you how many shows I've tried since Raymond. After Raymond, I thought, this is my purpose in life. I should do sitcoms.
Yeah.
Everyone's telling me I have to do another one, but nobody wanted it. They told me the business changed greatly in the 9 years that I was doing Raymond. And then I thought, well, I have this dream of doing this travel show. I saw a niche for myself. And the niche was, I think I'm exactly like Anthony Bourdain if he was afraid of everything. Anthony Bourdain's a superhero. He's fantastic. I'm never doing what he does.
Yeah, he's Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Did you ever see the episode where he went to Borneo and he got drunk with the tribesmen and they gave him a chest tattoo by pounding painted nails into his chest after they were all drunk?
No.
This is not Phil. This is not me. I am not. First of all, I'm not going to Borneo first. Why? Because where's the hotel? I need a hotel with a bed and a pillow. That's a yes, I'm old. I need to lie down when I fly now. But
Lie
it's
flat.
obvious. I'm not pretending to be someone else.
Yeah.
I am this guy.
Yeah.
But what I'm finding is there's a lot of people in the audience like that.
Yeah. Well, that is the miracle of your show. And when I moderated your thing, I was like, look at him. Look at this fan base. You couldn't ask for a better one. And they're
Everything
all,
from little kids to dead people.
and they really connect. But what's funny is I wouldn't describe it like Phil's an everyman, but then it turns out that there are so many of you that maybe we should call you an everyman. Meaning the classic Hollywood everyman, you're a little more interesting than that guy.
But I do feel like an everyman in terms of my insecurities and worries and foibles. And
Right.
I do feel like
I'm gonna say you
I'm the
speak-
opposite of Bourdain.
Right.
Although I will say
Yeah.
that I may have started out as a coward. I'm still somewhat cowardly, but my experience, as yours would be, makes you braver. Because the biggest fear is the unknown.
Right.
So how do you conquer the fear of the unknown? Make it known.
Yeah.
So over the past however many years, I've been making things known to myself.
Yeah.
And so now I'm not as afraid to eat a bug
Right.
or jump in cold water. I don't like it.
To land
but my
shrimp.
brother likes pushing me into the cold water, so that's...
Does that happen?
Yeah. Well, not literally, but...
Oh, I see. Yeah, bugs.
says, go.
You know, I was watching the making of Skittles because I
You're eating
literally
a-
was talking to somebody.
You're eating a lot of bugs, aren't you, if you eat Skittles?
Do you know this?
There's bugs in everything, I think. You wouldn't want to know.
Oh, I don't mean accidental bugs.
Oh.
I don't mean whoopsadoodles.
Okay.
As they're known.
Fee.
I'm talking about this we were like, how do you make a Skittle? I was asking my brother-in-law. I was like, John Roy, the great comic, had a bit about like, how would you make a Skittle from scratch? I'll never forget. He goes,
I'm going to guess. It's
melting.
peacock poop?
No. Oh. He's like, you'd melt the top of a baseball helmet, put it on sugar. I was like, it's what John Roy. Check out John Roy. He's hilarious.
That's really funny.
But I was like, really, how do you do it? And I asked my brother-in-law, he is my friend, but I go, do you think there's oil? Do you fry it at any point? Is it cooked at any point? Like we were just talking about it.
How do you make a Skittle?
So we looked it up.
Okay.
And very casually in the thing, it's interesting. There's a lot of tumbling. That's how they get things round. And then they are different on the inside. The outside is the same. The color, blah, blah, blah. They go like, and now it's vegan. And I'm like, wait, why wasn't it vegan before? And I wasn't. It just explained. It goes, up until 2009, the way that they made the Skittles shiny was essentially, it was like grasshoppers. It was like ground up grasshopper juice sprayed on the Skittles. It wasn't exactly grasshoppers, but it was a bug. And I was like, excuse me, 2009?
Who thought of this, first of all?
Who's testing the bug sprays?
God.
That's a different kind of bug spray.
Yes.
Okay, we're having fun.
Literal bug.
Literal bug. But I mean, they said it like the candy people know this.
Do you know that candy and other things may be banned in California because of the color? That it's a cancerous, the color, and not just Skittles. I think Oreos have a color thing but I mean, don't ban Oreos because it's my favorite thing.
Cheetos, it has it too?
It's about the color of things,
Yeah.
not the taste of things.
Well, yeah. And the shine is going to be a
And
little
there's
buggy.
like literal petroleum products in some of this crap.
Well, I don't want to make this a bummer, but the people making these things, they only care about money.
Really? I'm so disillusioned.
Nobody
I thought
cares.
it was Willy Wonka making all this.
Isn't that funny? Willy Wonka is the ultimate solution. Like, what? Talk about good marketing.
The Gene Wilder, please.
Gene Wilder only. Yes. Chalamet. Shall get out of here. I don't know. I liked him. You didn't like Chalamet?
He's perfectly fine. But if you're my age, you like Gene Wilder the best.
Well, I'll tell you what Wilder had over Chalamet, but they didn't give it to Chalamet, and maybe they will, is the fucked up part, the like sinister part. Because Willy Wonka
What do you mean maybe they will? You mean in a sequel?
Yeah, the whole thing is going to be 9 movies. I'm
Again?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Did you see it? It ends where he's like, here's my factory. And you're like, oh, so the second one's going to be the factory?
I'll tell you what, Larry Gelbart, I got to be friends with my idols, Norman Lear, Larry Gelbart, Carl Reiner. These are my buddies. I go to lunch with them. I just had the greatest life with these guys. And I made sure that I could have lunch with them. I was the ringleader. I made sure that we would have lunches and dinners, and Mel Brooks would come, and Neil Simon would come. I was living a fantasy.
It's Paul Simon. But yeah, go ahead.
What?
Paul Simon.
Neil Simon.
Okay.
You really don't know much about comedy history.
I was in Rumors in college. I know Neil Simon. Keep going.
Rumors. I was one of the great 17-year-old Oscar Madisons, I'll have you know.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's very funny. I was probably a 20-year-old.
17-year-old, like imitating Walter Matthau. Now it's garbage.
Keep going.
Divorced man. Larry Gelbart and Norman asked me, what's it like to pitch a show nowadays to the networks? And I started to explain it. And Larry stops me and turns to Norman and says, we're dying just in time.
Wow.
That's how I feel about a lot of stuff that I see.
I thought of Norman today because I put my shoes on, and classic All in the Family, I did
one sock and shoe, and then other sock and shoe?
That's what I did. I like to take care of one foot at a time. Carl Reiner.
You do that?
I don't do it every time. Sometimes I do sock, shoe, shoe. But today I did sock, shoe.
Consciously?
Just going with my gut. Felt like taking care of one at a time.
I've never done that.
You've never done sock, shoe?
Never.
You should try it.
I'm going to try it tomorrow. I'm so glad it came.
It's your whole thing.
Yeah.
So I thought about that exchange on All in the Family. But all respect, what a time for comedy.
Yes.
Meaning, imagine they're on set, because the story is Carol O'Connor, and Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
Had that conversation off camera.
That's great.
They captured it. They put it in the show.
Yeah.
I sort of feel this way about music, about all sorts of art. There was a golden time.
Yeah.
When if you notice someone having a talk about sock, shoe,
right.
sock, shoe, you could put it in the show with full confidence that no one's done it. Meaning, it was like a gold rush.
Of course.
You could just run and do anything.
Yes.
Everybody loves Raymond. His parents live across the street. Now you have to pitch a show and you go like, it's a little bit like Raymond. It's a little bit like Cheers. He works at a bar, but he also,
By the way, we weren't the first people that had the parents close by.
I know, but you weren't the 500th.
I guess, but it's all about execution.
Yeah.
The idea is one thing. But ideas are a dime a dozen.
I love what you're saying.
Execution is everything.
Say it.
Right?
You ever watch a movie and the plot is a guy meets a girl? And that's it. That's the whole plot.
Yeah.
And it's the best movie you've ever seen in
Well,
your
sure,
life.
because it's how they do it.
It's how they do it. You're absolutely right.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Somebody makes fried eggs better than somebody else.
Right.
How they do it.
Right.
You want eggs? Well, how are you going to do it?
And I think that's why these modern shows that are like kitchen sink shows, they're like, there's a VR element.
Something for everybody.
Yeah, something
Which
for everybody.
means nothing for nobody.
Nothing for nobody. You said this when we chatted at whatever theater that was. You were like, the more specific, the more universal it is.
That's right.
I feel like people aren't getting that anymore. And a lot of stuff is being loaded into algorithms that are like, you have to open with a car chase, and then there has to be a sex scene, and then there's some hot comedy. But you leave those things, and you get the feeling of a buffet.
Yes.
And I don't care how good a buffet is. You're kind of like, it would have been better if they curated it and like served it.
Always.
You know what I'm saying?
We would get notes on Raymond. You need to make this character more likable. And I'm like, can I ask you something? Who in your family is likable? Really?
Yeah.
This is what's... and I always go to Taxi, Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Likable?
Yeah.
Funniest character ever.
Yeah. Right.
He made us laugh, and we believed him.
Yeah.
And he was outrageously small
Yeah.
and a absolute tyrant. Great character.
Yeah.
We love him, and we love that show.
So you would not take that note?
Never.
And that went okay?
No, we were threatened every day until we weren't.
Wow. The thug life glasses
When
come out? Joe, please make that the clip and have the thug life glasses go on Phil. Not taking network notes.
Well, okay, listen. The best advice I ever got was from Ed Weinberger, showrunner on The Cosby Show of the 80s, Mary Tyler Moore, a bunch of shows, Taxi with Jim Brooks, right? I'm writing the pilot for Raymond, and I ask him for advice, and he says, do the show you want to do, because in the end, they're going to cancel you anyway. This became my philosophy of life. We all get canceled one day.
Yeah.
So live your life. What are you
Cancel
doing?
culture. God's canceling people every day.
Every day.
Every day, full cancel.
You're going to get canceled. I'm going to get canceled.
Shabu.
That's right.
Yeah, canceled.
So these little cancels that we get,
Micro cancels.
they don't mean anything.
You mean TV cancels, just to keep you out of the doghouse.
And the internet stuff.
Yeah.
All that
all
stuff. It's meaningless. I mean, I guess it's not if you're prevented from working ever again.
You're just saying big picture.
Big picture.
Zoomed out.
Do the show you want to do, because in the end, they're going to cancel you anyway. So it doesn't do any good to say as they're canceling you, but I took all your notes.
Right.
That's probably why it stinks and why you're canceled.
Right.
Because they don't know.
Right. If they knew.
They would do it.
They
and they
would do
wouldn't, to believe me, they'd like to save $1 and not hire you.
Yeah.
They would do it if they could do it.
Right. I think there's something, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. It comes up a lot. There's a psychotherapist named Alain de Botton. I always say Alain de Botton because it sounds better.
The button.
He says when you go on a date and you feel a spark. This is about AI. This is about everything we're talking about. He goes, what you're really responding to is this person has been wounded in the same way that I was wounded. And I don't mean bad wound necessarily, but they will wound me in a way that's familiar to me. If they hurt me, it'll be the familiar way, kind of like a little bit of the devil, you know. But like Val and I have a very beautiful relationship. And I agree with this theory that like you are on the same frequency when it comes to the type of pickles we might have, they'll be familiar to me. What I'm saying is, I say this a million times, perfumes always have a sour smell, right? Behind the beautiful smell. So there's flowers and then there's like horse piss. And we love that. And when you're on a date and you feel excited by the person, somewhere deep in the back, you're like, this person will hurt me in a way that I kind of want to be hurt. All of this is to say, it can't really be streamlined. It can't be noted. There's like I'm going to put this to you. There's like a dreamy, Freudian, unconscious, complicated, here, I'll make it simpler, deeply human thing that an unencumbered person, without trying to, will infuse their work with.
like a psychological depth and stickiness and shadowiness that's just going to make it resonate to another human, as opposed to making a show that 9 executives blah, 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 and cleaned everything up. That's like going to a date and going like, well, let's take that wound away and this wound away and this wound, and you don't fall in love. Did any of that make sense?
Absolutely. And again, it's the specificity of a well-rounded character or person that we're trying to create, right? That makes it attractive to everyone else. Why? Because even if their specific isn't yours, we all deal in specifics and we relate to each other's specifics.
Yeah.
Oh, she's obsessed with this thing the way I'm obsessed with that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I relate.
And Tony Soprano struggles with his mother.
Exactly.
Like, that's the most obvious note. Not, this is a joke, but like someone would be like, does his mother on The Sopranos, does his mother have to be so fucking mean?
Yeah. Yes, she does, because she created a mob boss.
Does she have to be so mean?
Yes, of course.
Could there be some jokes?
Can't she be more likable?
Could she be sweet? Could she be a great cook? No, she stinks. She stinks in every way.
And she hates her son.
And she hates her son.
It's great.
Yes. And you watch it. This is what I mean. Good art and a good date, if Alan de Botton is to be believed, both resonate on a level we don't want to look at.
That's interesting. I never thought of that.
Yeah, I don't think you should. I don't think either of us should.
Yeah.
But when we're left to our own devices, and you just put in your stuff, it's in there.
Right.
As long as somebody doesn't take it out.
Yeah. Yeah. But human beings go through a lot of failure before they get to success. I don't think anyone is a hit out of the box. So all these travails that we've had and those notes that almost killed us and probably did a few times, right? We learn from them. Don't do that again. But every time I've been in the mentorship position now, where they'll send me a young writer and I tell them this thing: do the show you want to do, because in the end they're gonna. And they all want to do that until they get a note.
Yeah.
And then they want to please.
Yeah.
And they all think, and I was guilty of this too, if I just get it on, then I'll do what I want.
Yeah.
They all think that. And it never happens.
Yeah. Wow. My father's in real estate.
Yeah.
And he 30-year mortgage conversation. And I was like, I'm going to do the 30. And when I get a big payday, I'll just pay off the house. And he goes, Pete, everyone says they're going to do that. No one does it.
I get it.
There are all these like insider things. Like,
That's
why would
right.
you do that? Suddenly you have $100,000. You're just going to put it in your mortgage? Nobody does that.
Right.
Nobody does that.
Of course.
Just an idea.
Yeah.
Just a number on a bank thing. You're just going to throw it away because you're going to be juiced for 30 years.
Did you ever see Jake
He's right, by the way.
Kasdan's movie, The TV Set?
I just watched it.
You did?
I just watched
I have a
it.
little part in it as
Judy-
an executive.
I know you do. Judy Greer just did the podcast.
I love her.
She was the last one.
I love Judy.
She's wonderful. And Judd Apatow is played by David Duchovny, essentially.
Hysterical.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Back problems?
Yes, hysterical.
Yeah.
That movie is so true.
Yeah, it's a horror movie.
The worst thing that happens to the character is that his show gets picked up after he's made every adjustment with the notes.
Yeah.
Now he's trapped in a show he doesn't even like,
Yeah,
let
yeah.
alone has to run.
Yes. My favorite part of that movie is when it's not Seth Green, but it's the guy who kind of looks like Seth Green.
Yes.
He's great, by the way.
Yes.
I wish I knew his name. But he does it perfect in rehearsal.
Yes.
And then they roll, and suddenly he's trying to impress the girl.
Yeah.
And he does it completely differently.
course.
And the scene doesn't work.
Yeah. But it does answer the question, why are so many things terrible?
Because
Yes.
people are really complicated.
Yes.
You know, I did a multicam, and we all got along really, really well. And Shai McBride, who had been around and done a lot of shows, he was like, I'm worried because everyone loves it here. And he was like, it's almost like there was a superstition that it was too nice, too perfect. It's like all the great shows. I'm not trying to get Raymond dirt. I'm just saying, I'm not even implying, but he goes, all the great shows, they hated each other. It's like a lot of the great ones.
I can tell you it was 90% beautiful
Heaven?
on that show.
I believe that.
It was beautiful. We had a sign in the back. Be nice. It was on the wall. Be nice.
Be nice.
That's it. That's
Somebody
what that was.
told me-
If somebody wanted to know what the values of the show were, that's it. I wanted a show for families,
Yeah.
about a family, made by a family.
Yeah, oh, that's very good.
You know what one of the key things in achieving that was?
Meth?
Good food.
Tell me.
Really good food. Had the best craft service in town.
Really?
Because I worked on a show. It was actually kind of a hit show for someone else. And this show was running 6-7 years. And one day we got a memo on the company stationery. Big company, big show. We noticed some of you are coming in the morning and putting milk on your cereal. The milk is for coffee. The cereal is for snacking. We do not provide breakfast for you. Please do not put milk on your cereal. And right then and there, I thought, wow, if I'm ever lucky enough to have my own show, we're going to have milk on the cereal.
I see you in like a Dickensian tuxedo.
Yes.
You're like, I promise you.
Milk on everyone's cereal.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is.
So not only did we have milk on the cereal, we had the best craft services down. Wow. We ordered in deli from New York. We ordered in Ann Sather's cinnamon buns from Chicago. We'd have food trucks before they were popular backstage on shoot night. Taco trucks. We had In-N-Out burger truck. We had crab claws from Florida once a year. Wow. Go in the writer's room, cover the writer's room table with newspaper, and crack the crabs with hammers from the set.
Wow. Incredible.
Fun.
Fun.
The Army travels on its stomach. One of the best ways to show people you care about them, other than be nice, do good work, pay them a living wage, you know?
Feed them.
Feed them. That's love. Food is love.
Feed Phil somebody.
Yes.
Phil feed somebody.
Yes.
I blew it.
Yes. But that's the connection. That's a way to make the connection.
Yeah.
Very good way.
Love it. Need it. Love every part of this. Where were we? What were there any missteps? Did you ever try something? You're like, maybe I'm a tennis guy.
That's never happened because that's sports involved. I think tennis is a sport, right? Yes. No, not for me.
Yes.
Yes. So when I decided, oh, I think maybe instead of knocking my head against the wall of this sitcom thing that doesn't seem to exist anymore, why don't I do this fantasy of having the travel show?
Yeah.
And my agents looked at me like I had lost my mind. And it took 10 years to get that show. And I tried other iterations of it. And I, like, for example, American Express heard that I was interested. And they said, would you go to to a city with a famous chef? And then we'll film that. And I thought, oh, this will be a pilot for a show. It wasn't. It was something they were going to use for their platinum card members to watch little snippets of this trip. In other words, they were going to pay for a full trip with me and a famous chef to London. We were going to eat, and then we were going to film it, and then the chef was going to recreate some of the dishes that we had in London for card members. And it was worth it to them. And we would host the dinner and then do a Q&A after the dinner about our experience in London and all these great restaurants. Well, I worked with a producer who booked us into 27 restaurants in 7 days. And because I was with the famous high-end chef, they were all 3-star Michelin restaurants, meaning 3 or 4 hour meals every meal.
Wow.
I couldn't do it. At one point, I broke down. I kind of got emotional. I can't do it. I can't physically eat. And the guy goes, I thought you're a professional. No, I'm a human being. I can't. How much can I eat? I can't do it.
Wow.
You know, when the food comes, you want to be excited. You want to say, oh boy, not, oh no, I can't.
I've been in that situation.
Right?
Where you're being overfed.
That's torture.
Yeah, it's torture.
So you're taking the thing. It's like in Clockwork Orange. Oh, you like sex and violence? What if we hold your eyes open and you see nothing but that until you can't anymore?
Yeah. I go to The Simpsons. You like donuts. How about all the donuts in the world? Except the joke is that Homer loves it.
He loves it.
He goes, more.
They try to Clockwork Orange him.
They tried to Clockwork Orange him.
But they created a monster.
Yeah.
But that's fun. That's why that show's so funny.
Yeah.
But,
so
then I learned from that of what not to do. And that's why it looks like I'm excited to eat on my show because I am. Because I didn't eat that day until that scene that day.
Yeah.
And so I'm thrilled that the food is coming and we only film 1 or 2 food scenes a day.
Yeah.
And then I can eat.
Yeah.
You want to be excited. The whole point is to get you to travel. I want you to travel. So I want to show you the best stuff and how fun it is.
Yes.
Not, Here's a 4-hour French meal that we're going to, that was made with tweezers.
Right.
And we're going to sit and
Right.
analyze every.
Is there
It's
anything
not that
worse, Phil,
serious.
than being really, really hungry and in one of those restaurants that like ekes it out?
One bite at a time?
I can't.
You're like, can I have the bread now?
I will ask
Right?
for bring me bread. I hate you. It's torture. I hate this.
Listen, we're talking about something that is an absolute luxury to many, many people who would kill to do that once.
Yeah.
I've been spoiled rotten,
Me
and
too.
I've gotten to do it more than once.
Yeah.
To the point where I'd rather have a hot dog. I'd rather have a great hot dog
Val and
than
I
a 3-hour
will leave a
French
3-hour thing and
Yes.
we'll go get food.
Yes.
It was the last time I was in Chicago. We did something like that, and then we went to Shake Shack.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. The Shake Shack was.
Of course it was. There's no price on delicious.
There's no price on delicious.
Yes.
.net.
Yes.
Now, all your travels, I have to imagine you've stayed in some hotels and they're like, this is the most haunted place on earth.
There was one hotel in Palm Springs where I stayed where I felt something so creepy and weird that I had to change hotels. Has that ever happened to you?
No.
It was a weird feeling. I could barely sleep. Something happened. Was there a triple murder in this room? I don't know.
Wait, walk me through it. You check in the room.
I check in. It's odd. The hotel is odd.
This is odd. Boutique?
Kinda like yellow and white. The whole scheme is yellow and white. And Palm Springs, to me, no offense, it's a little odd. No?
Yes.
Is it to you?
Sure.
What is your...
I don't know if I've been, I don't have a memory of being in Palm Springs.
I don't want to insult anybody. This is, everyone's personal. Everyone feels a certain way in certain places. The
Yeah.
heat is crazy to me. Everything is,
Yeah.
it's just odd to me.
Florida's a wild place.
Yes.
It's one of the most, I'll say this, a positive about Florida. You know you're in Florida. And I think that's actually really cool. You see a lot of leather cowboy hats. You see a lot of it's its own thing. It's a culture. It's a real culture.
There's an alligator on the driveway.
That's what I mean.
I
It's a
understand.
real place. You don't, it's
I'm
not
going
just,
there Wednesday. I'm going, yeah.
Well, we
Orlando is spectacular.
Yeah.
This is the find of the season for me.
Yeah.
Was Orlando.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see that episode?
I didn't see
Okay,
Orlando.
so I want you to see that because I thought going to Orlando, they're telling me, the tourist board, we have food from all over the world. And I'm like, yeah, Epcot.
Yeah.
And so I go to Epcot and it's Disney World.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Can
And
I,
so
don't
it's-
get me started on
Yeah.
why doesn't Disney make the food good?
I think
They don't care.
I don't
They
need
just
enough
want
of
you
it
to leave.
to know.
They
But
just want
some
you to
people,
leave.
but some people I think love it. And
I'd love to talk to
apparently
those people.
There are some good restaurants, I think, in some of the theme parks. However,
All right, go on.
the moderator for that night when I did the speaking engagement in Orlando
Yeah.
was the food editor for the Orlando Sentinel. And she said, you don't go to Disney. No, you go. Disney has been there 50 years. And in those 50 years, they've employed tens of thousands of immigrants who've all set up their own communities around Orlando. So it's like a mini LA or New York.
Hmm.
And she took me around the next day, and holy crap, is the food scene awesome.
In Orlando.
Because it's concentrated in this smaller area, but every culture is
Represented.
represented.
Wow.
And it's phenomenal. I had Puerto Rican porchetta that was better than anything I had in Italy.
Wow.
It was
Did
spectacular.
the guy have a rat in his hat?
He didn't. But I know the reference. We talked about it the other night. But
That's right. You
best
got
ending to
Ratatouille.
any movie.
Yeah.
But I get to say in that show, yeah, come to Disney World with your family, have a lovely time. But the real Magic Kingdom is the real world outside. And that's America to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you check into the room.
Oh, in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I got
sorry.
sidetracked.
I loved it. Florida thanks you. For real.
You know how I tried to explain to you the other night about this food that I had from the Palestinian lady?
Yeah,
and I
the
could
lamb.
not explain it.
I have a better, I thought about it since we
Please.
talked. I think I have a better answer for you.
All right, you want me to finish the Palm
Yeah,
Springs
go
thing?
ahead. Then we'll get to that.
Okay.
You check
The whole
in.
place felt weird. The room was oddly shaped, like too much space on this side that was useless. Big empty thing. I'm alone. Yellow and white. Odd. Almost like a scene out of Blue Velvet. That's how it feels to me. And I could never settle in. Again, like this experience in a good way with this woman in Dubai, I can't explain the feeling.
Yeah.
This is why they're called unexplained phenomenon.
Yeah. You have an intuition.
It just feels wrong.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be here. Get out.
Yeah.
That's what it's coming from inside the house. That's what it was felt like.
But you did try to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And in the night?
No, I got up the next morning. I was going to be there for 3 days, and I said, I'm getting out of here.
That happened to me in Chicago. I was in a hotel and I was like, it's just wrong. It'll make you believe hard in like feng shui.
Exactly.
Like there's something wrong.
Yes.
The animal of my
I
mind.
felt uncomfortable.
And I
I
left.
couldn't point to anything.
That almost never happens, but I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
This happened one time in my life. That
Yeah,
was the time.
Mine time. Yeah, me too. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so now in a good way, I
you
go to
eat?
Dubai and I go to a Palestinian woman's restaurant. This was a year ago, before the recent troubles. Now, the world has told me, as a Jewish guy, I'm not going to fall in love with a Palestinian woman. We're not supposed to. But this woman was so wonderful and so beautiful and so great, and I was with her daughter, and she was telling me she's going to make you something, you're going to feel something. And I'm like, okay, I'd like to feel that it tastes good, but I'll play your game. So here comes the food, and I'm hearing her story, and she comes in, and I put it in my mouth, and I cried.
Yeah.
Not just because it was incredibly delicious. Something else that I can't explain, just like the weird room in Palm Springs. It's like I saw a UFO. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked you, because you're tied into spiritualism and things, and you seem to know things. I wanted your opinion on this, or if an explanation. What could this be? This indescribable, unexplainable feeling that was so powerful. It's like somebody reached in and rubbed my heart.
And you were like transported.
Transported,
Right.
not to like my mom made me food,
Yeah.
or
Well,
the ratatouille moment.
Well, we
but
joked that
something.
we joked that you were ratatouilleed.
Right.
And the answer that the movie Ratatouille gives to moments like that, because remember, it goes in his
Return to
eye,
childhood.
and it's a return to
Yes.
his childhood. What's
And the
interesting
love
is
from his mother.
right. The first thing I'll say is I don't know, but also I think what's happening, and this was too hard to say when there were 2,000 people watching us, but I tried. I'm going to try again here. Peak experiences. So I don't know what triggers a peak experience.
Right.
But you had a peak experience.
Yes.
My take on what happened, let's just say the food was so overwhelmingly, it could be anything, surprising, nostalgic, delicious.
Yeah.
But it was such an extreme cessation of desire, meaning in that moment you wanted nothing. It was here.
Yeah.
So much of our life is spent stretching ourselves towards what we want or away from what we don't want.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you were given exactly, you didn't even know you wanted it, which is perfect. So it was this surprise. It's like you fell into a hole where all your desires went away because of this ultimate fulfillment, unexpected fulfillment. So this is where it gets super spiritual, and maybe you won't agree, but I would say in that nakedness, I always use that term, but in that nakedness, you tasted your true essence.
Wow.
And your true essence, meaning your God nature, meaning your divinity, meaning like the space in this room, that kind of spacious, peaceful, happy, it's trans-rational. It's outside of thinking about it. But you were more like, you stopped being a fill in this room. You became like the space in the room. And the nature of this space is spacious, calm, blissful, peaceful, content. And that's your true nature. So this is very Rupert Spira, but like, because you wanted nothing, because you got exactly what you wanted, and that almost never happens, you were almost like deep sleep. You were naked yourself. That's my guess.
And that's moving if that ever happens.
It's incredibly moving.
Right.
And when we answered it at the live event, I talked about rock climbing. I talked about deep sleep. That might have confused it. I think when you get exactly what you didn't even know you wanted, that moment of peace. It's also, Rupert would say, when we laugh, that's a taste of our true nature. It's this liberation. It's this mini liberation. You got a longer one of those where you were completely without fill, but you still were.
I don't know. It felt like some kind of what time travel must feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where did you go?
That's the question.
But the question, I think, again, I'm not trying to convince you. My fantasy isn't that you go, that's correct.
That's what the daughter said.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
But
and I looked at her and I was like, I was still processing it. And I just held up my finger like, you're onto something, but I don't know what it is.
But where could you go? Because you didn't go anywhere. You didn't even go to a memory.
It sure felt like I went somewhere.
Exactly, but you didn't go to a perception.
Yes, right.
You went to that which perceives. Now we're really in my
boy.
window. You went into the naked knower. And when I'm depressed, one of the techniques I do is I go, is the witnessing presence that notices the sadness? Because there is something that goes, oh, Jesus, the depression is here.
Yeah.
You're shining the flashlight of your awareness around and you see it.
Yeah.
Like cobwebs.
Yeah.
But is the light that sees the depression, is it depressed? And in my experience, the answer is no.
Right.
Sometimes it can trick you and go like, yes. But I'm like, really get away from it and go like, I think you were in the knower. I think you became being instead of a being.
I'm so, first of all, I'm grateful for this discussion about it, but I'm so grateful to have had that experience unlike any other I've ever had. Mm-hmm. I've welled up over delicious, and I say in the show, sometimes that's more than enough.
We've all been to Wingstop.
I had gelato in Italy at Vivoli.
Yeah.
And when the lady pulled it right out of the machine, freshly made, and put it in my mouth, I kissed her on both cheeks instinctively. I don't know this person, but thank God she didn't call the police. She kissed me right back. Yeah. And the combination of how beautiful the ice cream was and her, cry.
I'm really tempted to make it weird here. I think there's something so obvious. If we weren't human beings, if aliens were watching us, they would go, it's his mom. She literally gave you milk and you were overwhelmed. Like, is that memory different if it's me?
I have to say two things.
I did it.
I would kiss you on both cheeks, no problem.
No, I know. This isn't homophobic. I'm just saying.
No, of course not.
It felt right that it's a mom giving you sweet, nourishing. The first thing you tasted was milk, and here it is again, and you're transported, and it's maternal.
Now, I want to preface what I'm going to say.
Hit it.
By saying I loved my mother. She was one of the best people who ever lived.
Can't wait for the second part.
Terrible cook. Nothing she gave me moved me to tears in that way. It moved me to tears that I had to finish it.
Yeah. But she gave you something that she didn't cook.
She gave me something that she didn't cook.
Her breast milk.
I probably
You're a formula
was
boy?
formula.
Yeah, you feel like a formula boy.
You
feel like you were making it yourself?
Yes. Yeah, no, cooking wasn't the strong suit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's such a me thing.
Listen, it's Freudian, and probably there's something in there. Maybe it's the opposite.
Yeah.
That can also be true. Maybe I'm getting the thing that I never got from my mother.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to disparage my mother. Great lady.
Is it weird that I do?
I like that you do. Because when she comes back and haunts us, like in the hotel room, it's you she's going to get.
Yeah. What about something else unexplainable? You're going all these places. You ever see like a psychic or a tarot or something strange? Or
I sat with a monk, a Buddhist monk in Chiang Mai. How about that?
That's great. Did you enjoy?
First of all, I couldn't get into the position that he wanted me to get in.
That's a great Brian Regan bit. He's like, I'm so out of shape, I can't relax.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anytime I have to sit on the ground, cross-legged, it's like you may as well put me on the rack.
Somebody fold Phil.
Yes, that's me. So my body's not set up for this, but I love being with him. And what I loved about him was he goes, I like being in this space because it's just me and I get away from, I said, who? He said, my fellow monks. I said, are they annoying? Of course, sometimes. I'm like, I love this so much. Now I relate to a monk.
Yeah.
Other monks can be annoying.
Can I
Yeah, this is a touchy subject. Sometimes people and they get rid of their anxiety. It could be medicine, and I sometimes lose my bridge. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to disparage. I know some people need it or whatever.
What does that mean? You lose your bridge to other
I'm
people?
noticing that one of the ways I connect with you, even now, is we're neurotic about similar things.
Yes.
We get anxious.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's human.
I mention this all the time, but I call Joe DeRosa, and we just laugh and yell about a grocery store or whatever it is. And I'm just like, that's a hug. That's a hug for me.
Of course.
And I've just known people, and again, I love these people. I care for these people. Sometimes the anxiety goes away, and I'm like, I can't find you, and we're not laughing. It's a weird, lotus flowers grow in shit. What I'm saying, you want to get the shit just right.
Yes.
It can't be too much shit, but we can't get rid of all of the shit.
All we do as human beings on the planet is try to connect with other human beings. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we do.
That's right.
It's why we write. It's why we do comedy. It's why we make a show. It's why we, go out with friends. We're just looking to connect.
That's right.
So we're not alone in the universe and knowing we're going to die.
That's right. And that loneliness is as bad as smoking.
And you're going to die too. And at least we have that in common. And
you don't know that.
Well, not me. I meant you were going to die.
Yeah. I'm going to ascend.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll find your shoes here.
Fine. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Got to leave the shoes.
I love that.
God is a shoes off house.
We don't need the shoes here.
Heaven, shoes off. But
I'm looking at a dog right here. This is your dog?
Yeah.
What's the name?
Scout.
Scout. I mean,
what is he
the
worried about?
older I get, the more in love with dogs I am. They seem to have figured it out.
I was with my dog yesterday. He was digging a hole in the sand, and he was with another dog, and he was playing It's My Hole. And they were the happiest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I love my dog. I was going to say my new dog. Full respect, Brody. But my new dog, we have a deeper connection. It might be because I'm older. I don't know.
Yeah. Dogs sleep 70% of the time. 70% of the time. Maybe that's a thing.
Well,
But they also live much less.
and in both ways. They're here less years and they're awake less of the time. But there's something about sleep. We're back to that thing. When you sleep, to quote Billie Eilish, where do you go? It's the same. I think it's the same place as when you ate that lamb. I really do.
Yeah, but you don't wake up crying and going, oh my God, how fantastic.
No, I know, but there's no sense of time.
Right.
And yet there is an experience and we like it. So deep sleep is consciousness, being without an object.
Do you ever?
So we like it. It's weird. It's a good hint.
We love it. Does this ever happen to you? This is probably some form of insomnia, but I bet it's common. How am I going to fall asleep? How do I make myself fall asleep? What is the process of falling asleep? Am I falling asleep now?
Yeah.
How am I ever going to fall asleep when it's got to just happen?
Yeah.
How does it happen?
Yeah.
And thinking about that keeps you from sleeping.
It's like peeing at the ballpark. You can't think about it. Or like your wedding night.
Well, peeing in the ballpark is so disgusting.
I agree.
It is the opposite of the Toto experience, if we could bring it full circle.
It's a trough.
It's a friggin' trough,
It's a fucking
and you're an
trough.
animal with other animals,
other
with their
beasts,
with their things
unholy
out.
men with their fucking dicks.
We are disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's inhuman.
You wouldn't put a woman in that
No,
situation.
you wouldn't. Seinfeld, it's come up a lot. He goes, why don't we just go all the way, put a vine, you swing in the men's room, pee, swing out. Everyone's just peeing all over everything. It's gross. At least now, the world has gone my way. In the 80s, I was like, this sucks. And everyone was like, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Now everyone's gone my way. Bathrooms, we got dividers, we got privacy, we got this, we got that.
Except at the ballpark.
Except at the ballpark. Because I was just talking about this with my friends last night. It's funny, sports, when it comes to like, and I'm not trying to start a whole thing, but like we're like trans issues, trans rights, and sports. That's one of the final frontiers. It's like, what do you do with a male-born trans woman, whatever. I hope I'm getting these terms right. And I'm like, yeah, of course they're lagging. Sports as an idea is pretty primitive. It's like, this is ancient Rome. Like, we're fucking, I'm saying like, no shit, they're not progressive. They're the most regressive. Yes. They're just like, throw a ball and let sweaty, bleeding
of all
things.
the issues in the world, this is what we're going to fight over?
Yeah, that's right.
Shut up.
Yeah.
We're about to lose democracy.
You think so? Well, I forgot you feel this way.
I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just saying that. All I'm saying is there's bigger issues.
There are bigger issues. But it's like when you say to the cop, like, shouldn't you be getting a murderer? It's like, yeah, but I'm getting this cat out of a tree. Yeah.
Or giving you a ticket.
Matters to the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in my case, the cat was driving.
It
was a
Toonsy.
Toonses. Yeah, it was a Toonses moment. Okay, so you sat with the monk and you loved it?
Love that. Yeah.
And
I
the
love every
vibe.
experience.
Yeah.
Every experience is great. I don't like jumping in cold water.
Literally or metaphorically.
However, the first time I did it off the coast of Ireland with the crazy, wonderful people there. I don't know if you saw that episode, but I go to this place called Greystones in Ireland. These two twin brothers run a health food store and restaurant, and they have gotten the whole town to join them every morning by jumping in the water. Ice cold water off the coast of Ireland.
Wow.
It's right there in the town.
Free.
And then there's hot chocolate and stuff and coffee for everyone that gets out. So I'm going to go watch this. And of course, they invite me to do it. And I say, no, thank you, but I'll be right here with the hot chocolate after. And they all go in and they all come out and they're shivering and they're happy. And they're the friendliest people I've ever met in my life. I said it was like a town full of puppies.
Yeah.
They were so sweet to me. And then I go to the health food store and I see the way these guys live. And they're so generous and so sweet. And everyone in this town is beautiful. And I leave for the day, hug them all, kiss them all goodbye, go back to my hotel. And I call my brother. I got good news and bad news. The good news is I don't usually think this way until we're in editing, but I think I know how to end this episode. And he says, yeah. And I said, that's the bad news. We have to go back there and I have to jump in that water with them.
Yeah. Story structure demands it.
If I'm going to have the show,
Yeah.
I have to walk the walk.
The 3 rules.
I have to do it.
Was it worth the drive?
Beginning, middle, and end.
Was it worth the drive? Yeah.
Beginning, I'm not going in that water. Middle, I get entranced by these people.
Yeah.
End, I jump in the water.
Gotta go in the water. It's
And
the
I
gun in the
never
first
think
act.
this way.
Yeah.
But this kicked in. And I go back. Now it's evening. It's getting dark. It's way colder. And it's raining. And now I have to jump in.
Wow.
And it's in there.
Yeah.
And it is painful
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
Like I've never had before. Like
Yeah.
I scream when I win it.
Wow.
It lasted 30 seconds.
But you're a candy ass. But yeah. I just wanted to say candy ass.
You're not wrong.
No, Philly boy. I love you so much. I just love the phrase candy ass. Please.
Do you know it melts every time the Toto hits it?
That's why it's warm.
That's
Melt that candy apple.
That's such a candy ass.
No, I'm feeling horrible for you.
Okay, but here's the nice thing. Since that day, every single time I take a shower, every single time, I filmed this 5 years ago, every single shower ends with me turning the water to cold on my head.
The blast of Ireland, we call it. Yeah.
And it transports me
To there.
to there, and it has all these wonderful
Yeah.
properties. Like, you want to be transported in another way? I promise you, whatever you're worried about or thinking about goes away because you're cold.
Yeah, that's right.
For a second.
Yeah.
I built up from 10 seconds to now 30 seconds where I can stand it.
Nice.
Mostly on my head. Anyone can do this.
Yeah, it's
And it's supposedly very good for you in many other ways.
yeah. People that listen to the show a lot are laughing because I'm a huge cold exposure guy.
You're the cold plunger?
I'm a cold plungy fool.
See that? I was doing it before it was hip.
I know. And I love that story. And everybody's a candy ass when it comes to cold water.
Yes.
And that's what makes it touching.
Yes.
Speaking of which, you can't do it everywhere. Speaking of places like Dubai or Saudi Arabia or wherever it might be, there are places that people love Wim Hof and they want to do Wim Hof. And the only way they can do it is by getting ice and they put it under their shower so the water runs over the ice. That's the only way they can get the water even remotely cold enough. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
No, it's not crazy. It's interesting. So even the cold water is a privilege.
That's right.
I just had our plumber. I just had a plumber. He's not my plumber. But I was like, can you please make the water colder? And they did it. And it's really cool. Because I was like, I don't want the pressure to go down, but I want it to be cold. And they nailed it.
My water pressure stinks in my house.
Really?
Yeah. That's all. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, but I feel like you could fix it.
I can't. I've tried every way.
Do you find this is an interesting one?
By the way, not the whole house. My shower.
Of course. Have you tried white vinegar and water on the head in a bag overnight?
I've tried new bags. I mean, new heads. I've tried.
Really?
You know. Oh, you know that water saver that you're supposed to
Yeah,
have.
take it out.
Take it out. I'll pay you.
Yeah, of course.
Pay you under the table.
Give me the
Give
HBO
me the extra
for free.
water. Yeah. Doesn't work.
Do you find, as a man whose train came in financially, when things go wrong, is it tempting to be like, God damn it, like there's some problems?
I was like that before I had money.
Yeah, I know, but now you have...
Anytime you're paying for something that you don't get, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much money you have.
Yeah.
Nobody likes the feeling of getting ripped off.
But there's a moment in Funny People where Adam Sandler's playing like the Robin Williams type. He's basically him, and he can't solve like the TV. Like he can't get the TV to sync with the internet, and he's furious.
Yes.
And I was like, I think there's a specific echelon of sadness and anger for the very wealthy when you're like, even $1 million won't fix
this.
And I actually think it's an echo of won't save your life.
Exactly.
Elon Musk, I don't care how much
We're all
money he
gonna
has.
die.
You're in a fucking rotting meat puppet. And I think that makes a lot of them very mad.
Well, when you realize that money doesn't solve the problems.
Yeah, no.
I heard about
It
someone
gives
who's,
you more time to hang out with
who's
it.
having a gigantic wedding,
Yeah.
gigantic everything, gigantic bridal shower, gigantic engagement party, gigantic hundreds of people. The wedding will be the most expensive wedding of all time. Of course, they're having all these problems.
Yeah.
The bride and groom,
Yeah.
the fundamental,
Yeah.
the shit
content.
that's free. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That solves
What's
nothing.
it about?
What's it about? We
We've-
got the poster for the
Yeah.
wedding. What about the people
What's
in the
it
wedding?
about?
Yes.
See, we really have full circled right here at the end. Is that in your art, in Somebody Feed Phil, in Raymond, and everything you've done.
The trick is to get it in your life.
But you've also put it in your life. I don't think one of the reasons I'm not a year-round Tony Robbins fan, meaning I go through bursts. But what I like about him is he goes like, "What do you want? What do you want?"
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "If you ask yourself, what do you want? You're in the 1%, of people." Nobody's going, "What do I?" Or actually, he says, "What do I want, and why do I want it?" That's the 1%.
I've known this from the beginning. I want this ride to go on as long as I can because I'm the luckiest person who ever lived.
Yeah,
That's me.
yeah,
That's how I feel. Look at this thing I came up with, got to do. It seemed to work. I just want to keep doing it. The hardest part of doing what I do is waiting to do it.
Oh, I love that.
True.
You really are making a run for the best life.
What else are we here for?
Yeah, I think doing what you love.
With people you love.
Yeah,
Doing what you love with people you love is what I wish for
yeah,
everyone listening and for all my friends and family. That's the highest we can attain.
I agree. And there was a time when I would struggle, that seems selfish or something. And now I'm like, no, what you love is the lawful expression of what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
It's back to the lighthouse. It's the beacon.
Yes.
And if you're doing that and they're doing that, it all fills in together.
Yeah.
It's honest and it's real and it's not selfish. It's lawful. It's beautiful. It's the sheet music written on your heart.
You literally have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else.
Oxygen
So
mask.
once you have done that,
Yeah.
then you are obligated to help other people.
Yeah, that's right. That's another toe row thing, Tony Robbins. It's like when you picture what you want and why you want it, think about and envision and experience how it would help other people as well.
You start from, if you are lucky enough to get what you want in life, you must pay it forward. You have to have. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't
Yeah.
try to
Yeah.
put something back into the world that's been so good to me.
Yeah.
And if you start with this baseline of gratitude, all that is natural and feels right and actually feeds on itself and actually makes you happier.
That's lawful too.
Yeah.
Doing what you want to do, what you love doing for the good, it just puts you in that. Now you're off to the races because you're thinking about others and serving.
And I swear, if the goal was, I want to make a lot of money, I would never have anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's a fool's errand.
Yeah. And then you go, shit, I'm still in a meat puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until you're not. The new Tesla body.
Help me, I should not be.
If as long as I have the toilet, the total toilet,
Yeah.
I don't need anything.
Okay. To end as we began,
Yes.
I have a friend who's hesitant to use a bidet, and I really want to encourage him to use one. What is one way I could quickly persuade him to try it?
You could tell your friend it's like upgrading from a napkin to a shower for your behind. Once you try it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. It's a quick and lighthearted way to emphasize the comfort and cleanliness a bidet offers.
This is the best thing AI has ever done.
All right, we are trying to build the show. Phil, please, I hope you don't mind me doing this. We're just asking people to review the show. I don't know if you know, for your podcast, that's a good thing to do to encourage your listeners to help the show stay in the whatever.
What would you like to see more of or less of? Or
Well, it's not even that.
What is it?
It's just if you like the show. I mean, that's nice. That's helpful too. But we're just looking for if you like it, take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and a nice little review because it helps
it gets
iTunes
you sponsors
know
and gets you So if you like the show, you have to support the show in a very simple way. Leave a 5-star review.
And we'll read some on the show.
Oh, go ahead.
That's the part.
Do it.
Sorry, I cut you off. I didn't mean
do
to.
it.
This is from KES2323. All right, KE.
This one starts, Dear Jew. I'm not sure this is going to be good.
Oh, no. I want to get the reference. Is it? I don't want to ask.
That was our joke in the room, in the writer's room on Raymond, that, we got some fan mail. Open it. Dear Jew.
Oh, no. I discovered this podcast during the pandemic and became instantly addicted. To say it has helped transform my life is an understatement. Oh, thank you so much. I began reading every book that was recommended and looked up every teacher and have not been disappointed once. Not only have I grown deeply through this experience of learning alongside Pete and Val, but the podcast brings just the right amount of playfulness, laughter, and absurdity into my life. The Friday episodes are my absolute favorite. That's with Val. That means so much. Thing to listen to, and I eagerly open the app every Friday morning just to get my weekly dose of Pete and Val. Their journey in relationship is a true delight. I'm continuously grateful for their willingness to be vulnerable and share themselves with us. Thank you for being a part of my world. Thank you, KE. That is isn't that sweet?
Lovely.
I wish Katie curates them so I don't have to read the ones that are like, shut
so
up,
much
you
better
blowhard.
So much better than Dear Jew.
Thank you, KE, and thank you, Philly Boy.
You're my friend.
You're my friend. We'll find ways to be more neighborly.
I hope so.
Would you say keep it crispy? It's how we end.
Keep it crispy. It's how we end.
You are my friend. It made me sing. Philly boy, Philly boy.